it is currently known. Good afternoon, Miss Seonghee Kim.
Seonghee Kim is going to join very soon.
Oke, sip. I'm sorry. Selanjutnya, narasumber kita yang ketiga yang juga nanti akan hadir di tengah-tengah kita, yaitu Profesor Dr. Tati Narawati M.Hum from Indonesia yang akan menyajikan kertas kerjanya bertajuk Kajian Seni Nusantara dalam Konteks Pendidikan. Nusantara Art Studies in the Context of Art Education. Dan tentunya juga telah bergabung ada kurang lebih 67 peserta yang telah berkenan untuk mengikuti seluruh rangkaian kegiatan kita pada pagi hari ini. Kami haturkan selamat datang dan tentunya selamat bergabung. Baik, agar seluruh rangkaian kita pada hari ini berjalan dengan lancar dan tentunya memperoleh ridho dari Allah Subhanahu wa taala, mari sejenak kita mengheningkan cipta dengan menundukkan kepala untuk berdoa menurut kepercayaan kita masing-masing. Semoga apa-apa yang kita laksanakan hari ini sekali lagi memperoleh ridho dari Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Mengheningkan cipta atau dengan menundukkan kepala sejenak dimulai. Baik, terima kasih. Para narasumber dan peserta yang kami hormati, kegiatan kuliah umum pada pagi hari ini akan diawali dengan laporan kegiatan yang akan disampaikan oleh Ketua Prodi Pendidikan Seni Sekolah Pascasarjana Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Untuk itu, kami undang Profesor Juju Masunah M.Hum Ph.D. Dipersilahkan.
Terima kasih Pak Awang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yang terhormat Bapak Direktur Sekolah Pascasarjana, Profesor Dr. Syahabuddin, M.Pd, Bapak dan Ibu Wakil Direktur Sekolah Pascasarjana, yang terhormat Bapak Ibu dosen Prodi Pendidikan Seni Sekolah Pascasarjana dan Bapak Ibu dosen dari Fakultas Pendidikan Seni dan Desain serta Bapak Ibu dosen dari perguruan tinggi lainnya. Yang saya cintai para mahasiswa S2, S3, dan S1 dari UPI dan dari perguruan tinggi lain. Yang terhormat para pembicara dari Equador dan dari Korea Selatan, Honorable Speaker from Ecuador, Professor Martin Eduardo Villacis, and Professor Seonghee Kim from South Korea, Profesor Dr. Tati Narawati from UPI, dan Bapak Ibu sekalian yang saya tidak bisa sebutkan, ladies and gentlemen from around the world. I think this is we saw that participants come from Ecuador and from South Korea as well. So, terima kasih. Thank you for your presence in this eminent lecture. Pertama-tama kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa. Berkat rahmatnya lah kuliah umum ini dapat terlaksana pada hari ini 2 Juni 2022. Izinkanlah saya melaporkan kegiatan ini. Eminent Lecture bertema pendidikan seni di Asia. Berkat bantuan Miss Jeong dan Mas Santiago, yang keduanya adalah mahasiswa program doktor, kami dapat menghadirkan para pembicara hebat ini dari Ecuador dan dari South Korea, serta dari dalam negeri tentunya Profesor Tati Narawati. Moderator sendiri akan dipimpin oleh Bapak Dr. Yuliawan Kasmahidayat dan saya sendiri. Semula kegiatan ini akan digabung dengan eksibisi atau pameran, namun ada masalah teknis sehingga eksibisi akan dilaksanakan di bulan depan, insya Allah. Kemudian kuliah umum kedua yang tadi sudah disebutkan oleh MC bahwa kita akan melaksanakan kuliah umum lagi pada bulan Oktober 2022. Let me translate a little bit. In the beginning, we will also conduct exhibition, but we have a technical problem, so the exhibition will be presented in the following month. We will also conduct the second Eminence lecture in October 2020. Pada kesempatan ini, saya ingin menyampaikan bahwa Prodi Pendidikan Seni SPS UPI telah memiliki channel YouTube dengan konten hasil tridharma perguruan tinggi, yaitu proses belajar mengajar, riset, pengabdian kepada masyarakat, seminar, workshop, pertunjukan, dan pameran. Nah, inilah dia salah satu trailer yang ingin ditampilkan. Silahkan. Mario.
Welcome to Prodi Pendidikan Seni SPS UPI's channel. This channel is a platform of digital archiving tridharma of higher education such as teaching and learning, research, community service program, seminar, workshop, performance, and exhibition conducted by professors and students of Education Study Program, School of Postgraduate Studies, Universidad Indonesia. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe.
Baik, itulah YouTube channel dari Prodi Pendidikan Seni. Silahkan para mahasiswa semua, kemudian para dosen dari berbagai universitas bisa like, share, and subscribe di Prodi Pendidikan Seni SPS UPI channel di YouTube. Demikian kami sampaikan laporan ini. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya kepada semua pihak yang telah membantu terselenggaranya kuliah umum ini di tahun 2022. Thank you very much for your presence in this eminent lecture of Art Education Study Program, School of Postgraduate Studies, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Selanjutnya kami memohon Bapak Direktur Sekolah Pascasarjana untuk memberi sambutan dan sekaligus membuka acara ini. Terima kasih dan wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Prof. Juju Masunah, M.Hum, Ph.D. yang telah menyampaikan laporan dan juga kita simak link YouTube Sekolah Pascasarjana, khususnya Prodi Pendidikan Seni. Baik, selanjutnya seperti yang telah disampaikan di penghujung laporannya oleh Bu Juju tadi, selanjutnya akan kita simak sambutan Direktur Pascasarjana Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia yang sekaligus akan membuka kegiatan kuliah umum pada pagi hari ini. Untuk itu kami undang Profesor Dr. Syihabuddin M.Pd. Dipersilahkan.
Thank you, Pak Awang ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Respected conference committee speaker and participant, it is my pleasure to welcome all the participants today for the general lecture on art education, which because of COVID-19 outbreak, it is held virtually through a video meeting application Zoom. I welcome the eminent speaker to exchange experience, especially in art education, and work together on the exciting topic of art education. Respected conference committee speaker and participant, especially my student at School of Postgraduate Studies, I do believe that new normal itself is a scenario or a new order to remain productive, or in other words, live side by side with the COVID-19 virus safely. Consequently, it brings change in various fields of life, including new phase of education as central actor in regeneration, and of course, cultural inheritance process among global challenges. With various global issues such as global warming, overpopulation, migration, vertical and social injustice, low quality of HDI, Human Development Index, the negative impact of information technology development, to the emergence of artificial intelligence that require improvement of student critical thinking. It is urged us to prepare our generation with art in action. It is my concern with art in action, not just in our mind or in our soul. The benefit of receiving an art education are far-reaching and essential preparation for success in the 21st century. Through the lesson, they will explore. Students are able to hone their critical thinking and creativity while learning how to better work with others for a common global, especially in this occasion with our colleague for Ecuador, from South Korea, and another part of the world. Finally, I would like to express my deep respect to all the committee speaker, especially our honorary guests from South Korea and Ecuador, and
Indonesia.
participant for your positive participation in this general lecture. Especially, I would like to extend my respect to head of study program on art education, Prof. Juju. I hope all of us will learn a lot and lead to more academic advancement and friendship in the future. Last but not least, I hope that all of you will find this general lecture on art education meaningful, productive, and of course, enjoyable. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Sihabudin, for the greetings and official opening for this event. Baik, hadirin para peserta webinar yang kami hormati, Kita akan memasuki acara inti kita pada pagi hari ini, yaitu paparan dari para narasumber yang akan diawali oleh Profesor Eduardo Villacis from Quito, Ecuador. Untuk paparan pertama ini akan dipandu oleh moderator Profesor Juju Masunah M.Hum, Ph.D. Waktu kami persilahkan.
Thank you very much, Pak Awang.
Okay.
Let me introduce my speaker. Good evening, Professor Eduardo.
Good evening to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, I will introduce your biography first before you present your presentation. Professor Eduardo Villacis was born in Quito, Ecuador. His work encompasses the field of drawing, painting, comics, illustration, and 3D animation. He has been a professor at the Universidad San Francisco de Quito since 1994, and his master's degree in visual art at California State University at Fullerton, USA. His work has received important international awards, among them first prize in the Digital Animation Festival Imagina held in Mexico, finalist in the Animation Contest Abuso del Poder of the International Network MTV, best script in the festival, the video Sign de Rosario in Argentina, Faguard Award in the Festival Anime in Ecuador, Award in Teaching Excellence in Ecuador, winner of Film Fund in the Promagnis Contest in Colombia, and winner of Film Development Fund CN in Ecuador. He has been a speaker at TED Quito and guest lecturer at universities in Europe and United States. Now, Professor Eduardo is guest lecturer in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia in Bandung, West Java, Indonesia.
Yes.
Yeah, the title for presentation is Joys and Challenge of Being an Artist and a Teacher. Professor Eduardo, apologize if some level is not correct when I read your bio. Please correct me. Time is yours.
Thank you. I would need to share my screen.
Yes.
Allow me, please, to show my screen. Share. Oh, yeah. So yeah, now I can. So is with audio. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to the Indonesian University of Education and Professor Juju Masunah for inviting me. Thanks to the colleagues, professors, and future colleagues. And I know it's stuck. Future colleagues, because I suppose everybody here is a teacher or is gonna be a teacher. Yes. Yeah. So. And also, I apologize. I try to, in advance, my art is somewhat challenging, has to do with difficult topics in my production. And I realized that, and I work with a human figure. I removed as much nudity as I could, but something might slip there. And if this is a problem, I understand there are cultural differences. Please accept my apologies because it's part of the differences that sometimes make communication difficult. So yeah, accept my apologies in advance if something is disturbing to you. Yeah, that's some of the things I want to say. Oh, I have 40 minutes. Let me set up my timer to make sure. First of all, let me start by saying that when I was invited, I was struggling to find a topic that I could that could be useful for people here. because of course, I'm not an expert on art education, like in the specific field, but I have been a professor close to 30 years, and I have been always trying to do art. And I suppose many people here try to do art and want to continue doing that. And I have been chair of departments. I will show you my information. And so this lecture will not be too academic. I hope that's not a problem, but it's honest and comes from lived experience. So my 30 years teaching, and as I say here, I'm an artist living a professor, but sometimes these two interests collide. Sometimes they make wonderful synergy between them, but sometimes they collide and sometimes they become difficult. And it has been a very sad discovery in those 30 years of many people who were great promises in art that work in academia, run down by academia and basically live in artistic production because of the rigors of academy. So, so yeah, that's I'm going to show you my work, and I'm going to show you the challenge I face doing my work, and some suggestions, some observations based on those experiences. So the first thing is this negative perception that I see, at least in my country, people have about teachers. There's a Spanish proverb in my country in Spanish that says, the one who knows does, the other one teaches. So teachers are the ones who couldn't get jobs. Teachers are failed professionals, artists, or faculty are erudites, but lack daily practical knowledge. They are outside some real knowledge. And the most, I suppose, hurting one is from Osvaldo Viteri, who you see there, the last one, who is actually, arguably, Ecuador's most renowned living artist. He says, he told me, I invited him to give some lectures at my university. And one thing he said, which I still remember, is the university is the place where art dies. Perhaps if some time come, we will talk later more about that. But he says that the rigor, like the academicism, can kill creativity and prevent people from achieving their potential. And that was a very devastating statement that he did. And I don't agree with that. And I try to do every day to prove him wrong. He's a great friend. He's a fantastic artist. But that more or less shows you some of the things that I think are harmful, because I think an artist should be always working, or like a good professor. Well, there could be some artists or some professors that are theoreticians that are perfectly fine, but many artists or many professors want to continue their art practice. So I'm going to show you a bit of my work. Hopefully it transmits well, and you will see my studio and more or less what I do. That's my M.Si studio. That's right there where I'm right now. I will speak something in the video. I will translate later.
Para mí el arte es el ejercicio de imaginar, ficcionar, inventar cosas, pero no gratuitamente, sino que todas estas ficciones nos ayudan a interpretar la vida, a entenderla. Es como una especie de equipamiento para vivir. Nos permite intentar entender las cosas, tanto emocionalmente como intelectualmente.
And what I just said is that art and for me, art and the fictions that I do are fancies of imagination, but they're not just done for the sake of doing them. The imagination is a way to try to understand life. And actually storytelling, the type of art that I do, and art are what I call equipment for living, telling us stories, as humans has always been something important, and that's the way we interpret the world and try to make sense of the universe. So, and art explains life both intellectually and emotionally, and that's what I do. So that's me. I work in 3D animation. That you see, I started teaching very early, as you can see on the image on the left. I work in 3D animation. I will talk about it, graphic design, illustration, and comics, and fine arts. Quite clearly, my first studies, I will explain, were in mathematics, programming. I will explain why in a moment. And later fine arts and my master's. And I was in the university, which I will show you my university. I was the founder of the digital animation program, which was the first program in Ecuador and among the earliest in the region in South America. I was also co-founder of interactive design, and that was the first program in Ecuador as well. And I'm a founder, and now I coordinate the illustration and sequential art. Sequential art is the academic name of comics and graphic novels. And at my university, I was for a while, for a number of years, chair of the fine arts department, so I know bureaucracy quite well. And I was guest lecturer at several universities, college in the Americas, Europe, and now Asia. Thank you. I will show you a bit of my university to talk about who we are, and just start with a video again. This video you're gonna see is from the art college where I teach. We do several creative areas. Ranging from fashion design, graphic design, animation, film, dance, theater. So we're the Colegio de Comunicación y Artes Contemporáneas, abbreviated as COCOA, like the chocolate. So let me tell you a bit about the university, because it's sort of a maverick university. It was the first fully private university in Ecuador. We are totally independent from Ecuadorian government, and I appreciate greatly government, like public university. I studied both my undergraduate in mathematics and later my master's in California at public university, so I have great appreciation. But the fact that it was a private university allowed us to do things that otherwise would have been difficult. It's very young, it's 1988. And the first and so far the only liberal arts university in Ecuador. And what do I mean by liberal arts? We produce general humanists, not only specialists in their field. So it means everybody, doesn't matter your emphasis, profession, you could be a scientist, a physicist, could be a biologist, you can be a lawyer. You have to take art classes. You have to go beyond the scope of your specific field. And I think that's important. And art contributes to the life of people in many ways, regardless of their major. So it was the first Ecuadorian university, and that's one point that I'm glad to be here talking, to be academically devoted to the study of Western knowledge and wisdom, in particularly Asia. The founder, who's a physicist, has always been very interested in Asian cultures and the wisdom that Asia has provided to the world for many millennia, so that in Ecuador that wasn't available. And I'll be glad to show you a few things about it. And many innovative programs of study happened first in the country, happened first at USFQ, like the one I showed you, like the ones I founded. So that's where the university started in 1988, this little small house. And this is the campus today. We're based, like many of the architecture is based on classical Western architecture, and going to the modern. That is the main building of the arts college. That's where the dean's office and some of the film facilities are. And yeah, that's what I showed. You see non-Western, like Egyptian obelisks and pagodas, an interest in Asian languages, Asian culture. We have exchange programs like with Asian universities, and we have a deep respect and interest in what Asia provides to the world. And that's shown in our campus. I will talk a bit about my journey as an artist. That's where I grew up, in this town, in the old district in Quito, in the colonial town, and that's where my first year spent. And that's the colonial downtown is a part of contrast, because on the one hand you have beautiful classical colonial architecture, but on the other hand you had all these contradictions of social class and struggle. Like I remember as a kid seeing people like the ones you see, which still today, those are contemporary images, people with all kinds of difficulties in life. And that influenced my artwork. Imperfect people, people who have imperfect lives. And you can see there, and my interest in the ethnicities in Ecuador, all the ethnicities. So you can see those are from high school. Some friend of mine rescued one of those sketchbook pages, and you can see me studying people. And in the one hand, you have an indigenous woman. That's a painting I did when I was 14 or something like that. My interest in the ethnicities. However, when I was a teenager, well, those my first comics that were published as a teenager. However, this picture that I'm showing you right now explained that is from a movie Tron from 1982 when I was 12 or 13. And upon seeing it, I was fascinated immediately by what something that was completely unknown, computer animation. So I devoted my time, besides doing art, to try to learn how to do it, which at the time means learning to program, because computer animation was only known by scientists. There were no way to study artistically computer animation. So in those are the computers I had, first the Commodore 64 and then the Amiga, which was the first color computer you could actually do that. And I decided to study mathematics because I realized that for doing simulations, you had to do that stuff. So I spent getting with some of my friends who were really good at mathematics and studying at a renowned national polytechnic school, studying mathematics and programming. And I started doing the very first fractals in the country, which are those forms that simulate forms of nature. And with a friend who I helped him in his thesis project, a fellow mathematician. We did a 3D program that could produce images like this. That was 1989, 1990. And that was something that took a massive effort, especially for him. And we tried and we tested in the IBM Computer Center, and it worked. And I started working with, in the very first computer animation companies, not using our software. The first available commercial softwares were available, but my knowledge was very useful. So I started working for 12 years in computer animation from 1988 to 2000. And among the very first, I will show you, this is an image that was the sort of commercial work we did in the 1990s. We did all kinds of stuff, like the stuff you see in commercials, we did. And it was very profitable enterprise. But for me, my desire to do art, besides this, always lingered. So I was approached by the university, by this woman, this lady who was my boss, an American lady, Susan McQuillan, who was a television engineer. And he wanted to start stuff with computers. And that was very important because before, and I mentioned this, talking to the intellectual elites about computer animation in the 80s, I was always disappointed. They said, that's something the Americans do, people in the United States. That doesn't have anything to do with the culture of Ecuador, right? Persisted. And Universidad San Francisco was very different. And that's where being a private university really helped, because they gave me the opportunity to develop something new that didn't exist in the country. And in the same way, other professors developed the film department, which was the first one in the country. And I will go fast, talk about this. That's her. That's us doing, that's not me as a student working on my computers, because I used to bring them to campus, working on stop motion, like clay animation, but assisted by computer. I invented a method for doing that and worked on that before going into 3D animation. And I tried to do, and I will tell you, the work was overwhelming in many scopes, and I had to do, whenever I tried to do my artistic projects outside of the available time. So increase my, let me talk about my philosophy as an active artist, that I believe that to lead in art is to lead through example. You do the work, you show them how to paint, you show them how to do, and that creative production is a legitimate form of research. And I will talk about that because for some years it was discouraged by the government, Ecuadorian government, and that produce artistic work that is valuable for society but difficult to profit. That's the art I want to do in the university. Stuff that is useful but is very difficult to turn into a profitable enterprise, and to incorporate people from the community at large, outside the bubble of academia. So that's the first project I tried to do. I will talk about very briefly. It's a proposal for a short film about these people made out of rusty metals who are seduced by this prophet of video prophet, who guides them to their doom, to be transformed into brand new Japanese cars. And so this was done for MTV. This was awarded one of the finalists. And had we won a bit more, we could have done this is just this proposal, a storyboard. We have won $40,000 to get the computer to actually do that in the 1995. So I had to do this, I remember, during the vacation of the December vacation, where here is Christmas, to do that. I also did a prototype with a computer game where I hired some of my very first graduates. We did had an enterprise. This had to do with how you call it? An Inca. You know, in Ecuador and mostly Peru, there are many buildings that are built on top of pre-Columbian ruins. And there's a famous treasure that's from the last Inca emperor that's supposed to be hidden someplace in Ecuador. So we did a game on that, based on that. So it was, we shot live people on top of these backgrounds. They are 3D graphics done by me and my former students back in 1996. And that's where the game starts. And eventually you discover the underground temple. And through the temple you go, well, you visit parts of Quito. That's fictitious Quito, cities that don't, streets that don't exist. So this is unfortunately, the project was lacked funds to be completed. But these are my concepts. Then you goes from the real to the surreal. When you progressively enter pre-Columbian mythology, like respecting our native cultures, and you solve puzzles. It's a game of intelligence, not of brute force. And this part I show you in concept because it was partially completed, but it was an interest. It was what I would call an interesting failure, because we succeeded technically, but we couldn't finish it for financial reasons. And during the 90s, while I was always in my spare time, more improved comics of improved how you call complexity, including one about the pandemic, about a future pandemic, which was sort of, I suppose, prophetic, and experimental books using comics for other uses, like poetry, in conjunction with a poet. And then here's what I want to do. This was the very first 3D animated short film ever done in Ecuador. And I did it with the students after several failures, several years. My boss, the lady you saw before, almost fires me. And he was about to fire me when we won 2 international awards. So that saved my neck. This was the year 99. And all of the students who participated in it which were about 5. They're all they are professional animators working everywhere in the United States, in Europe, and in the short film. We did a second film with some of the people I trained, who became later my partners, because I was still bored of doing just commercials. So this is my concept art. It's about a how you call it, dystopic world where full of robots, where plants are forbidden. But a young robot child, falls in love with this flower and protects it from the authorities. That's what. So then later, while I graduated, I asked for the university to allow me to get a degree in the arts, and while I was teaching and having the company I was studying. So it took me a number. I would not survive that regime today, but I was young then and I could do it. So I graduated in 2000 with a degree in arts, and then I was fortunate to get a scholarship to study in the United States. And I will show you my final project, my graduation project, which is the one I'm most renowned for, which is basically an inverse museum of history that assumes that the Aztecs colonized Europe. And basically the promise is that Columbus, instead of landing in the Caribbean, lands in Mexico, where he's captured by the Aztecs, who decide to colonize Europe. They learn to copy the weapons from the Europeans and decide to attack. So it's deals with the topics I've seen in Ecuador: racism, cultural destruction, but in an inverse way to give light to it. So I will go. The museum's been assembled several times. You see, it's supposedly a history museum, but of course everything is fake. And you can see some of the several assemblages that would be the Aztec firearms. And this with destruction and colonization. And I'm still working on this project, but on a graphic novel and on an animated film, which if we have time, I will show you some teaser. I will. So you see that's the Pope in Europe welcoming the Aztec warriors, thinking they're angels. So this him being accused of heresy a few years later. And this is the destruction of Rome. This is an Aztec city in what used to be Rome. This is the ruins of Paris, the ruins of Amsterdam. Yeah, what happens to the natives, in this case, the Germans. I'm of partial German ancestry, so I mock myself quite a lot about that. Germans are used as transportations because they're very reliable and always on time. And yeah, cultural destruction. English disappears. That's one of the few works that are left from the English language, and nobody can understand it because knowledge about it has disappeared. So that's the Aztecs call the new continent a Mexica, because the land that's not Mexico. So that's Europe today, according to the graphic novel. In fact, if you want to see the book, this is the link to the book. I will copy in case I'm interested. I'm offering it. Amazon allows me to. I have an online version. Amazon allows me to offer it for free for a few hours. So today you can download it for free if you want to see it. It's in English. So I copy the. Yeah, it's a long link. So if you want to see that, oops, where is it here? So let me see how much time I have. Yeah. So oops, no. So later to continue with these projects, but not alone, because that project alone, in conjunction with students and people from the community, create what's called the Centro de Investigaciones Fantásticas, which would be Center for Fantastical Research. And the first project we did was another museum, but it was sort of like a projection of Ecuador, a pessimistic projection of Ecuador, expanding our defects and and the problems we face to the ultimate limit. So basically what happens is that in Ecuador in the early year 2000, there was a massive migration of Ecuadorians to other parts of the world. We must have a diaspora of people. And, in many countries, there are not enough children are born, but in Ecuador, we have the opposite. We have, for instance, there was a gentleman who died a few years ago who had 96 recognized children. So in Ecuador, we have this opposite problem of what Europeans have. So basically what happens is where Ecuadorians go, they grow in this fiction they grow like mushrooms and colonize the other parts of the world peacefully. So Ecuador ends up being this huge insular empire. And we talk about all the problems that would happen from that. And I proposed some of the topics, the concepts, but we worked with students and arts who wanted to participate. So it's, and again, like a museum, and we mock the stuff that happens in Ecuador. So for instance, this is our dependence in the United States. So you see our transformed flag, or flag is very different, but it would be something like a hybrid between ours and the United States. We don't have a national currency right now, but we return to a national currency. But people think that the true heroes of the Ecuador's future are the football players, the soccer players. So we base on them their mythology. Actually, football becomes so important that it becomes the actual national religion. So we have, because this is supposed to be in the year, this museum in the year 2500. We see the current contemporary times as the past. So we mock, like we do this sort of like pre-Columbian burials, but from today. Ethnic groups that are, for instance, this ethnic group that you see on the left is from the Amazon jungle, the Guaranis. They're being conquered by international companies. You see this border here on the down. His amulet is now based on credit cards because they're the ones who give power. And other indigenous groups change their traditional custom to accommodate to the challenges of globalization. And of course, there's the effects that we have in a country. Corruption becomes a constitutional right, and everything goes around corruption. And of course, being the dominant power in this dystopic future, our ways of being or doing things become the norm. So, for instance, Ecuadorians are famously always late. So we measure new ways to measure time. This is called the dead hour. When you see the sickle here, like the dead sickle, you see the handle here pointing here, and that's the hour you're supposed to come. But the sickle gives you about 3 hours to actually come. So this was actually very truthful to life. The museums, because we use dark humor to criticize ourselves, were very popular. This was a most visited show when we were shown in a very important contemporary event because of the humor. You see football, even in pre-Columbian tradition, football becoming the ultimate religion. So here's this is the Church of San Francisco, which is the Quito's most biggest traditional church. It becomes a little chapel in the temple of the Football Federation. We also mock the damage of the destruction of the environment, and here's in Ecuador we eat well, I don't, but people eat the guinea pig. So we have this mutant version caused by all the damage we've done to the environment. And we actually, when we had there's an illustration and we had the opening of the show, we were able to show it, simulate that we're eating that. So here you see, roasted. Another project that we did that's very, is very pertinent to this time is San Valentine, which is a play on San Valentine, which is the day of love. But I decided that people spend more money and effort on war and violence than on love. So San Valentine happens on the 13th of February. We decided to make it the 13th of February, 13 being for Western people the bad luck number, no? So did with students, and eventually this became a massive event. We did several years. It became a massive event with 500 entries because we wanted the public to participate. 500 entries from 300 entries from 15 countries. So you see the opening of the event, one of the events. We changed with it specific topics. And I think this is a very pertinent, where people talk about all the violence that is seen in different spheres of life. So this is in the BBC in Spanish, a report on that. So in this case, there's no voice and no vote. We always had a very broad topic each year. I worked on my graphic novels. I go fast on this, which are always critical. And you see these are excerpts from some of my graphic novels. And you will see that in this case, for instance, I use some of the themes that I used in the Museum of the Future of Ecuador. Several of us have continued with some of the topics in other projects. And let me tell Professor Juju, I have 10 minutes, wanted me to talk about especially about the open community workshops. It's a typing mistake there. This has always been important for me. What we offer is free practical and theoretical workshops open to the general public, so anybody can come. Because we use the fact that we're in a privileged university to offer our facilities and our knowledge to anybody who wants to do it. Open all year long in several locations. So far, only in Quito. We do special workshops and conferences with renowned international and local artists. And during COVID-19, we continued in a virtual fashion. And because this reaches new audiences, people who cannot come, we plan to continue. And we have public exhibitions of the participant work. We've been doing it. Actually, we started, a professor and I, on our own in 1997. Then later, upon my return from the United States, we continued 2004. And now it's a very successful program that you can see that that's in downtown Quito. There's the participants. We offer drawing, painting, but also sculpture, but that only in the campus. And you see that's in downtown. That's when I was having a show, we were doing those. And for us, it's been really important. It's been transformational to the many people who always wanted to be artists, but couldn't afford it and life didn't allow them. There's some amazing success stories, like that's the workshop. And for me, that's the opportunity while teaching, doing art. That there's no people actually like it a lot when I'm not just teaching, but painting with them, and that satisfies my need to produce art, and people learn by watching me paint. So that's a few years ago in my classroom. That's me there. That's me actually in Colombia, expanding it. I was invited, was able to do these workshops in Colombia. That's one of the exhibitions. I had gained a lot of weight, I see, back then. That's one of the exhibitions in downtown Quito. That's at the university in the campus. Those are the ones in sculpture where we see is most. Those are often during the week. They're very popular with ladies who have the time during the week, and they really enjoy that. But everybody is welcome. Anybody is welcome to these workshops. I will go fast on this. We even do plein air sketching, plein air painting and sketching. And that's been a fantastic opportunity for us to share with people, to learn, and to give the opportunity to some people to learn. I will share an experience that with one person who has been coming for us for several years. He's a taxi driver, always wanted to learn how to draw and paint. And his level has become so good now that he's been offered, offered to do illustrations. He has contracts in Spain, from Spain now. So his life is changing. That for me is very satisfying. That's again my classroom. We have brought some international renowned artists here, and some American artists, painters, people from all the world, the UK, local, Mexico City. And that's me again in my place. That's my opportunity to paint the figure. And I study the ethnicities of Ecuador, how people look, and practice and inspire people by doing it. So that keeps me happy because I'm painting and sharing with people. So I will go fast with this. How many minutes do I have? 6 minutes. Yeah, we're good. So those are done. All of these are done in those workshops. We'll show you. This was interesting. You saw that in the video. That's a colleague, a painter, but it's a street painter who has some mental problems and deficiency. And I painted him. I hired him, and he painted me back. I cherish this painting. And you see, that's us in the studio with the model. Those are my works. So for me, it's great because people learn from the interacting, and most of my figure painting, I do it surrounded by people. So being simultaneously an educator and an artist. So during the breaks, I explain and share materials and knowledge. You see another painting that you saw in the video. That's in the process with the model, the final painting. And well, my personal work, which I talk about very briefly, is art of the fantastic. That's I suppose very dark, the fantastic landscapes of Quito, versions of my city in a fantastic way. Another fantasy. This is Colombia, where I basically destroyed the city and turned into a post-apocalyptic landscape. things we have to do with pre-Columbian. Pre-Columbian symbols are very important for me. See, and so how many minutes I have? Yeah, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So regarding conflicts, because I've talked about the joys of doing art and being a professor. So in my experience, having been chair of the department and having been leader of the problems I see is that sometimes at least in my country, the administration of the university expects so many duties and activities from professors that artistic production is relegated to personal spare time. Like the first project I showed you at the beginning, they were done. I didn't go to Christmas to do the first project, and it was that for a long time. Then another problem that many of the faculty here will relate to: you do your work well, you are awarded with more work. So instead of being freed, when you perform well, your situation worsens. And that, if you go to the hierarchy, in the hierarchy of the university, the less productive in the arts you will be. I was asked one day if I wanted to be the dean, and I said no, because then my art career will be definitely over. And that's from what I saw when I've seen many times, but especially when I was in California, my advisor was the chair of the art department, and the only art he could produce on all the years he was chair was doing meetings, doing little sketches in his sketchbook. And so that was I suppose and he was a fantastic the problem is he was a fantastic chair, a most remarkable chair, and that doomed his art for a while. He's in production now, he's retired now, he's fully painting and drawing now. And the final was particularly conflicted because the government a few years ago, the Ecuadorian government, tried to measure academic production in the arts under the same rules and parameters as the sciences. So they demanded that full-time professors the only way they could be valued would be through production of academic papers in index journals, which to some people, especially in the fields of art history and art criticism, is fine, and even some artists want to do that. But for the others doing art, like me, was art. I don't know. I know it was a commentary on but for me, doing art was essential. And the little time I had from my activities as administrator, teacher, counselor, and all the things that you are required, the very little time I had now had to go into doing index journals publication, which I had done some. So we had to actually go through a lengthy process, including even lawyers in my university and later joining with faculty from universities, to demonstrate to the government that creative production is a legitimate form of research. That if you're a filmmaker, yeah, you can do articles, that's fine, but doing film is a legitimate form of research. That if you're a musician, doing music compositions is a legitimate form of research. And in my case, doing painting as exhibitions is a legitimate form of research. That was a very, very hard situation we had to live for a number of years. But fortunately now the standard, at least in my university, is that both are equally recognized. But it took a lot of work from an effort and from our behalf fighting that for a number of years. So my further personal, and I have 1 minute, that being a teacher who is an active artist is the most rewarding experience that can allow you to explore creation beyond the constraints of different art markets. That's the beauty of it. I can do art that I believe in instead of when I had a company, art that was marketable. The interactions with the community, like enrich both sides, not only the recipients of the instruction, not only the people who receive the instruction freely are beneficiaries, you benefit from knowing them. And occasional professional work is important, to be outside the ivory tower of academia. It's important as it keeps you connected with the realities of the work market, but it can also be very stressful due to conflicts with the scheduled full academic work. When I had a company and I was teaching, I was student, I felt that it becomes unpractical, it becomes unsustainable in the long term. But occasional work, it's important. In certain fields, it becomes unsustainable. If you want to keep serious artists as teachers, you have to guarantee that they have the opportunity to create art and not only be instructor administrators. In this government that I mentioned about in the past, when I was the chair, we had fantastic teachers resigned from the university. Why? Because they felt that their time was taken away, and they preferred to get away from the university rather than continue the regime. Fortunately, we have now a better regime that allows us to do both. But for some years, it was a very challenging situation. I guess that's my final thoughts, and I'm on time, quite clearly. Yeah. Thank you for your attention. And if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I hope this
Thank
was
you very much. Professor Eduardo, is a wonderful experience, and we are lucky to have you to share your experiences and knowledge and the book. So this is the electronic book you share for free. Yeah, thank you very much. Para mahasiswa semua silakan untuk mendownload sharing dari Profesor Eduardo. Di chat ada link dari Amazon. Nah, ini for free. So thank you, Professor Eduardo. So being an active artist is also as a teacher, you also have a theory and practice as academic expert. So this is, I think, a great partner for us to, collaborate for future activity. So also I saw your university is very beautiful. yeah, it is interesting a place, and it's a kind of clean, and probably in one time we can meet each other in your country, or you can come here. If a pandemic is already over. So thank you very much. I would like to invite some audience to have a question, and probably you can answer. Para mahasiswa semua, para dosen, silakan untuk mengajukan pertanyaan kepada Profesor Eduardo, apakah itu bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris, silahkan ya. Kelihatan ada Mas Sandi udah raise hand ya. Mas Sandi raise hand, kemudian siapa lagi nih? Ada yang menulis di chat, belum ada ya. Yang raise hand dulu ya. Silahkan Pak Sandi.
Okay, thank you. Before I'm going to question for Mr. Eduardo to good presentation. And before I'm going to give you a question, I'm so sorry in my question is if not in Polit, because I have not a good connection, and my connection is unstable, because in Indonesia, for your information, has the area that's still difficult connection, and I hear now. My question is, I'm so interested in your PowerPoint in the teacher as an active artist, where you explain that product artist work that is valuable for society is but is difficult to profit. In my question is, how do you make your student and your community aware about it? And for your information, and I'm a teacher in school formal, and I teach my student with about how he understand the value of every dance move, not about the aesthetic dance, like costume and all element in dance such as mass. Such as is mass dance, like Klana in Indonesia have the variants mass dance in the good mass like Panji, still until the bad, I say that bad match like Rahwana gitu. How about how about design and painting arts to aware about education? I think about.
Let me see if I understand, because I got because I have sorry, I have some difficulties understanding the question.
Yeah.
Perhaps can you ask?
Let me explain his question, yeah, for you. Basically, he asked you related to an active artist, a teacher as an active artist, valuable for the community, but less profit. What does it mean? Something like that.
Yes.
Okay. That question, what do you mean art does value for community but it's not profitable? There are things that you can produce, and that's valid to any field of the university, not only art. You produce stuff that is value. For instance, physicists discover a principle of physics, but it will be applied. It's an important principle, but it will be applied. It doesn't have any industry application right now, but that principle will be applied 50 years later. So when they discovered quantum mechanics, back then in the 1920s, it didn't have a purpose except expanding knowledge. Now our cell phones work with those principles. So it's a long-term investment. So when you have a company in the art, you have, let's say you have a design studio, you work or a dance company, I don't know, because I heard some artistic field, you don't have the chance, you have to be profitable to survive. So when I had my animation and design company, everything we did was for profit because we needed to pay the bills. You need to pay the employees. But being a teacher at a university, you already have means of survival. So you can use to do projects that are important, but that cannot produce money immediately. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when I do those workshops, we do them for free because the university can do it, because it's already sustained by the payment, by the tuition of the students. So we expand it to other people and I teach that, and eventually that produces something that's valuable for society. Some people's lives change. When I do art, for instance, when I did the Aztec Museum, this makes people think about colonialism and racism that has happened all over the world, like in the Americas, in this case, but in a reverse way, so that the roles change and people can think. And that, in principle, is not profitable, but it has brought important discussions among universities, because that book that I gave you is used by several universities in the Americas and in Europe right now. So, so I don't know if that answers the question. That's in my case. In my case, is doing the art, is art the stuff that I believe is important. But if I were alone as a professional artist, I would not be able to make it. But having my salary as a teacher and having my life money-making problem solved, I can use that time to produce something that's valuable. And I think that's something that's important in very many fields. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think you answered his question. So I will translate a little bit to my student. So Pak Sandi, ini sebetulnya sebuah investment katanya ya. Mungkin Pak Sandi juga paham bahwa sebagai guru, sebagai dosen itu tidak serta-merta pada saat itu mengeluarkan istilahnya money itu untuk SDM ya. Tapi kalau animasi atau membuat ini untuk industri itu otomatis menghasilkan uang. Nah, ini barangkali kita ada di dua sisi ya untuk untuk melahirkan SDM dan menghasilkan uang. Kalau dia itu banyak kegiatan yang berkaitan dengan industri. Nah, jadi kalau menjadi artis atau seniman saja gitu ya, ya mungkin bisa juga untuk seni rupa memang kelihatannya sangat memungkinkan untuk bisa menghasilkan uang seperti animasi begitu. Jadi ini mungkin pemahaman saya, barangkali Pak Sandi ada pertanyaan berikutnya, silakan.
I think enough. Thank you for the good answer.
Oke, ini Pak, ya terima kasih. Thank you, Professor Eduardo. Pak Sandi already understand. So ini Pak Tri, I think Pak Tri is the same with Professor Eduardo, ya. What he already made in as an artist and as a professor in the university. Mangga Pak Tri.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you, Eduardo, for presenting joys and challenge of being an artist and a teacher. This is a very interesting title. Many good inspiration for me because I see complete explanation of journey, theory, and practice also. So I see that Ecuador has a lot of achievement, work and compensates the field of drawing, painting, comic, illustration, and 3D animation, and so on. I think it's amazing work. One of them is presented on TEDx show. That's really I like because of a lot of creative inspiration in that way, in that program. The thing I'm amazed at the Ecuador is an art thinker as well as practitioner as well. Can you explain how you can manage your time in such a way as an educator and practitioner? This is important because for me, for us, I believe the essence of good art educator is that in addition to mastering art, he is also still exploring artwork, how you can manage well organize your time for artwork and writing, so on, or art research, something like that. Thank you very much. Sorry, maybe.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind comment. Thank you, and to you and to the previous asker. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, it's difficult. In fact, I fail miserably usually because I'm not that organized. But the way it worked was the way it has worked eventually is because the university, your faculty organize themselves to allow them to give time. So, for instance, there are grants that give you money from the university to give you money to produce art. And many of those grants are not monetary, but time grants. They say, oh, you're working on research. You don't have to teach 4 classes. You will have to teach 2 next semester. And you have the commitment to do a show or some form of production. And of course, that is difficult because that's against the financial, economic sustainability of the university, but it's something that's important. So to have those grants, to have sometimes sabbaticals, that's an American tradition, which I don't know if in other countries that you have every certain number of years, you can take 1 year off to do research. So you disappear from the university 1 year and you have come back with some product. Yeah, but grants that somehow give you the opportunity, it's something that's the difficulty. It has to come from the structure of the university. And that's something that we in my university talk with the authorities for many years. It took us to an organized effort to talk to the university, say, if you want us to produce, we will produce, but we need time. So, and so I don't know. So if you're struggling to find time organization, I do that too. I do that too. But eventually, but the good thing is, if of course that with if you're given time, that's a responsibility because it has to produce work. But the good thing is that we have many teachers who have been given time and resources and produce wonderful works that are awarded nationally and internationally. And those people that get the awards, they bring new students to the university because, of course, the potential students realize, well, we have this faculty who have this many awards and are doing that. So in fact, it becomes many times interesting to come because of to our university, because that particular teacher is teaching that. So it's, I suppose, there's a try to promote a virtuous circle of excellence. So because, as I said, it's very tragic when you see somebody who was a fantastic student, a fantastic young artist who became a teacher and later spent many years, and because of the rigors of being a teacher and an academic, basically doesn't produce at all. That's what we want to avoid. That's what it. And at my university, I must congratulate them because they have really transformed themselves, and now they give us plenty of opportunities. And that I'm grateful for that. And I hope this answered your question.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Clear
ya, Pak Atri ya.
Thank you very
Saya
much.
kira ini sama saja fenomenanya ya, Pak Atri ya.
Iya, betul.
Ya. Tapi kalau di sana memang kelihatannya ada semacam dana gitu ya, khusus untuk profesor membuat seni. Ya, mungkin di sini juga bisa kita mengusulkan lah gitu suatu saat membuat karya. Tapi juga itu karya juga itu semacam apa namanya riset.
Betul.
Bagaimana Pak Tri? Masih ada pertanyaan?
Terima kasih. Saya kira sudah clear. Terima kasih informasinya.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation, Professor Eduardo. This is interesting that in Ecuador, probably you have a sabbatical, right?
Well, we're fighting for that. Not yet. In the United States, there are sabbaticals. In Ecuador, we don't, but we have what's called reduced load for research. And people who actually, and we have people who, for instance, people who want to mostly teach, we have a separation of duties. People who, by their own desire, want to mostly teach, they're given a certain profile. People who want to research more, they're if they get approved, they get a reduced load, but they have to produce tangible results. And we're hoping that in the future we have sabbaticals, but in the United States, sabbaticals are standard. Because I studied in the United States and I taught in the United States. In the United States, full-time faculty get a sabbatical, and that does wonders for production because you're free in any field, archaeology, mathematics, whatever, whatever field. So, but in the arts is really important. Yeah, and we're hoping that eventually we can achieve that.
How about summertime? Do you have like a holiday, long holiday for summertime?
Well, summertime, which we're starting right now in here this week, we started. We have reduced loads in classes, and that's an opportunity too. 3 months of the year you can do that. But of course, we have to do other stuff like maintenance and other duties. In my case, because I run the community workshops, we have the opportunity to do special events. So I'm doing. I will send you the information with Stuart Williamson, which is a fantastic sculptor. We're gonna have a 5-day. Where he explains us his experiences, and if you want to join, of course the schedule, the times will be different. I'll be glad to send you the information. And we're also having an event on paleo art, this like the art of the fossils, like dinosaurs and stuff, with national and international via Zoom. It will be in Spanish, but if you want to join, will be that. So I will send you the information. So yeah, but summer is a good opportunity because, and the university, that's another thing. The university, my university is flexible. They don't care if I'm not necessarily at the office all day long as I do as I do my duties. That's a strict difference with many state universities in my country, where you're supposed to be like a factory worker to clock in and clock out, and sometimes you're not doing anything. And so in my case, it's good because I can negotiate with university flexible modes so that I can be productive.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Santiago, yeah, we have Mr. Santiago will raise hand. You already raised hand.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. Thank you very much for share your journey with all of us. I just have two questions. The first one is like, if it happens that you can make a living just with your art, will you leave the academic, or you find joy in teaching? That's the question number one. And the question number two is like, I believe most of the participants in this conference are artists or related with art in different fields, painting, dancing, design, and so on. So, most of them, or some of us maybe, are going to become teachers, or they already are teachers. So what can you tell us to motivate the art creation, the creativity, while we are becoming, or while we are teaching, or while we are teachers? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. I'll answer number one. I took my decision many years ago because the animation company I was partnered, then I show you, was very successful commercial, actually incredibly successful commercial. But after many years of doing commercials, I decided I didn't want to do. I really needed to change my life. That's why I decided to go teaching, and I get offered jobs to do illustration, but if it's something that I'm interested in, I do it, but it's like sporadical. It's not, and I got job offers from game companies to be full-time, but in my case, for me, it's not, because I would be commercial work tires me. That's a personal thing with me. Commercial work, like what happened doing several hundred commercials in 3D animation, and it tired me. So I prefer to teach. I prefer to teach and do the artwork I want. That's my personal thing. But not everybody is different. Other people might find that. But it was useful to have the experience of working in the industry, because you know how the real world works. So, which is something that you can explain your students, even the tricks to get be paid more or less on time, starting from even the most basic stuff. So, and the second question is how to get motivated. I don't know, but when I'm teaching, for instance, drawing or painting, I rediscover the joy of the foundations. To me, it happens that I'm teaching, and I'm also, as you might know, because Santiago was participant in one of my workshops, I've been lots of books of artists to inspire, is sometimes the other people, the students and their youth and their desire inspired me and charged me. So that's what I mean. When it's a two-way street. You learn from the students and you get charged with their desire to do stuff. And by showing, or them showing you artists that you didn't know, you get motivated. So for me, reviewing the information that I teach and teaching it, I get motivated by it just by the act of transmitting, which I suppose many faculty here can relate. That you become in love with art every day by showing it and sharing it and learning about it from other people. So actually, I found out that teaching motivates me a lot to be a...
I think your time is up.
Very much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question and answer. Basically, you encourage a teacher should be as a productive also artwork, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Ibu Bapak, mungkin ini saya tidak menyimpulkan, tapi pesannya adalah kita sebagai guru, mungkin sebagai profesor juga tetap di dalam dia itu harus ada semacam produk dari seninya. Mudah-mudahan kita bisa melaksanakannya. Terima kasih. Saya kira give applause to Professor Eduardo or who already share experience and knowledge and the books. So I hope this is the first time we meet, and then we have a lot of knowledge and experience from Professor Eduardo. So thank you very much, Professor Eduardo. Before before we continue to next presenter, we will give you a certificate, yeah, virtually. So we will send by email later. So
Thank
please, Mario. Certificate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to say that I'm very grateful for you. I'm very, I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to be with you and share with fascinating people like you. And I hope we can continue our interaction in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
this opportunity.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Ya, selanjutnya ada transisi, silakan.
Ya, terima kasih. Thank you, Professor Eduardo. Once again, let's give a round of applause for Professor Martin Eduardo Villacis. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Oke. Baik, terima kasih Ibu Profesor Juju Masunah M.Hum, Ph.D. Kami mohon Ibu tetap berkenan di tempat untuk kita sampai atau melanjutkan paparan sesi berikutnya, di mana pada paparan sesi kedua ini akan disampaikan oleh Profesor Seonghee Kim, M.E. Ph.D. from Korea Selatan. Oleh karenanya sama seperti paparan di sesi pertama, waktu sepenuhnya kami sampaikan kepada atau akan dipandu oleh Profesor Juju Masunah M.Hum Ph.D. Dipersilakan.
Terima kasih, Pak. Sebelum ini mungkin Mario bisa tampilkan trailer.
Oke.
Sedikit ini.
Welcome to Prodi Pendidikan Seni SPS UPIS channel. This channel is a platform of digital archiving tridharma of higher education such as teaching and learning, research, community service program, seminar, workshop, performance, and exhibition conducted by professors and students of our education study program, School of Postgraduate Studies, Universidad Indonesia. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe.
Baik, terima kasih. Thank you very much. Before Professor Seonghee Kim to present The paper I will introduce in the CV. Yeah. So Professor Seonghee Kim is currently the artistic director of Scan Festival. She was the artistic director of interdisciplinary art project at the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Korea. From 2013 to 2016, Kim served as inauguration artistic director of ASEAN Art Theater at ASEAN Culture Center. Kim was also the founder and artistic director of several festivals since 2005. She is a co-representative of multidisciplinary art magazine of SCAN. Kim's major establishment in the performing arts field are production and invitation of world-renowned artists such as Pina Bausch, Robert Wilson, William Forsyth, Romeo Castellucci, William Kentridge, and more, especially in Asia Culture Theater. She has produced and co-produced works of Asian artists such as Api Chepong, Wira Sethaku, Toshiki Okada, Hutu Yen, Tao Dance Theater, whose work are currently carrying on vigorous international tour. So education, Professor Seonghee graduated from Kaywan Women University College of Sport Dance Department for bachelor degree. And then from a master degree, she graduated from Art Administration, New York University, and PhD degree. She graduated from School of Management, Kyuhee University. Now, she is associate professor at Kaywan Art University. The presentation of this eminent lecture, she will present Asia looking toward Asia. So time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this event today. I am happy to be part of this event. As Dr. Juju Masunah introduced, I am a curator in performing arts, working both in Korea and internationally. Since 2002, I have served as artistic director at several festivals and theaters. Among them, I would like to share my experience at Asia Culture Center from 2013 to 16 with you today. I will start with my PPT. Okay. Okay. Asia Culture Center is a government-driven initiative that was planned and prepared over 10 years under a clear political motivation. It opened in 2015. The government aim was to make ACC a window of Asia culture facing the world. The center, as you can see, consists of 5 organizations: the International Exchange, Research Institute, Art and Technology Center, Theater, and Children. I was in charge of ACC Theater. The mission given to ACC Theater by the government was to produce a hub of Asia contemporary art. The strategy we chosen to approach this goal was to create the most interesting works of contemporary Asian artists being produced, spread to the world, and in doing so, making the world look at ACC in return. Talking about our vision, ACC Theater questions, support, and create contemporary performing art in Asia. ACC Theater produce, co-produce, invite, and promote artworks from ASEAN, as well as the rest of the world. What is Asian art? What is contemporary art? ACC Theater seeks to perform these questions. It does so by inviting artists with unique visions and reshape the most urgent aesthetics and social concerns of our time. ACC Theater puts the artist right at the core of its engine by providing them full professional support, financial, residential, and artistic, with which they can work through their own vision, free from any political pressure or aesthetic bias. The most important role that ACC Theater assumes is to create time and space for the artist to enrich themselves. The outcome of these endeavors are presented through two channels of presentation: the annual festival and seasonal programming. As a hub theater, ACC Theater is committed to cultivate a network of theaters, organizations, and art centers that share visions and endeavors for artistic innovation. In other words, sorry. In other words, ACC Theater plays an active role in creating a ground for international partnership. This means that ACC Theater animates each project.
Frame is still. Frame. This frame is still straight.
Yeah, I know. Animate. Hold on. This means that ACC Theater animates each project to expand beyond the stage and beyond the city limit. In doing so, ACC Theater endorses art beyond the boundaries of genres, disciplines, and politics. ACC Theater advocates differences and multitudes. It aims to inspire and to be inspired to diverse voices that we invent contemporary art. Okay, until now, different parts of Asia have neglected each other. Each of them busy looking toward Europe. ACC has built a system where different Asia today can look at each other and at the same time produce and share their works and discourses. Contemporary art of Asia, in our view, was about us showing our own critical perspectives on the Asia we are living now. We first examined the conditions of art production in Asia. The big problem was the complete lack of infrastructure for production in Asia and lack of circulating system, which enable each produced work to continue its life after 2 or 3 performances. As a solution, we brought the production system already utilized in the European art scene and adapted it to the ASEAN context. Through the ASEAN co-production system, organizations from all over the world can co-support the process of creating Asian works, which will be presented in participating institutions and further linked to the world tour, as you can see in the picture. This foundation could solve both of Asia's chronic problems, production infrastructure and circulation. Our vision was realized through the perspective of many different contemporary artists within the frame of festival and seasonal program. The opening festival was a 3 weeks celebration of multiplicity, hosting 33 international presentations, including premieres of 12 Asian productions, co-productions. The festival was a presentation of perspectives beyond the geographical and political boundaries of Asia to create an arena of true international communication of ideas. While the opening festival set the standard of ASEAN contemporary art and proposed the vision and direction of ACC Theater, Asian artists draw the ancient future of Asia, rewrite Asian history, and generate different perspectives, reflections, subversion on modernity. It is also important to invoke Asian modern art, such as Butoh and Chinese revolutionary opera, and to bring different Asias together to share them. Moreover, it drew the map of world contemporary art by positioning works from Africa, the Middle East, Latin, America, and Europe as an equal mirror image that reflects Asian perspectives. The position of Asian can be determined when it keeps being readjusted while continuously referring to the changes in the world. That is why it is crucial not to confine Asia to the Asian region, but take a broader view in an international context. I would like to share with you the opening program via video. So hold on a second, please.
Nan ประชุมยงพงอสัญญาแดว่ารับสั่งแล้วบังคมลาไปปราสาทจินตรา
No ya después de más tiempo de lo que dura el fúnebre sonido de la campana. y no permitas que tu madre se entregue a la lujuria. ¿Sí me entiendes, Sam?
지난번에 했던 공연이랑은 제목은 같은데 다른 공연입니다. 감사합니다.
برای خودم اینکه من باید از شهری حرف بزنم که هرگز بهش سفر نکردم، هرگز ندیدمش و تصوری غیر از عکس.
Привет, дорогие корейцы. Мой стендап-узбек, который приезжает на фестиваль, это спектакль о переезде человека из одной страны в другую. Когда ты переезжаешь в другую страну, то ты...
وتحثه على الإسراع لإنقاذ مصر فما يحتمل الأمر التأخير.
それがアメリカに行ってからはメジャーリーグはピッチャーの球速いんで。8 miliar tahun yang lalu, kehidupan bermula di perairan dan lahirlah kematian sumber terbahari asal usul gajah.
Okay. Yeah, we come back. Okay. Next is the second frame of the program. The seasonal program consists of Asia Window and our master. Asia Window, at first, Asia Window focuses on capturing Asia's today and bringing it into discourse through the perspective of 5 curators from different parts of Asia. 5 curators exchange their viewpoint on Asia's now. They propose issues that they consider to be the most vibrant ones in today's Asian art, as well as the means to deal with them. The process of weaving different Asias into a comprehensive dialogue in one arena will be the means of forming a map of contemporary issues. Amongst 5 projects, this Gauge project Myth, this curated by Heli Minarti from Indonesia, revisit Orientalism discourse and practice through certain historical trajectories. Also, this transgression and syncretism, curated by Youmi from China, takes Silk Road as a figuration of the thinking and demystifying method which questions the constructed codes of culture and politics that define borders today in terms of nation, ethnicity, ideology, standard of development, and fixed in temporal scale. We also had Filipino film director Ryan Martin, Egyptian curator Tarek Abu El Tetu, and Korean music director Young-Yu Jang. On the other hand, our masters aims to share the moment of transformation which have turned into the biggest influence in 20th century performing arts history. Presenting masters' works selected by Belgian curator who has been the most active in promoting non-Western art to the international arena, free legend according to her own standard. Our master were Einstein on the Beach by Philip Glass and Robert Wilson, and Tim Itchers, Christopher Mathala, and William Kentridge, and Hitsukata Tatsumi. Outcome, throughout the festival and season, we introduced 62 artworks. Among them, 21 were Asian creations. These creations toured to more than 100 venues and festivals around the world as of 2013 December, same year of the opening year. These are the 62 projects. The marked works are the produced or co-produced in ACC system. This is a map of the tour achieved by the ACC Productions as of 2013 December. I know it's too small to see the detail. I brought it to get the overall concept. So the column on the left here is the name of the title and the artist. And then the bottom here, horizontal line is a tour date and months. And all these are the festival and venues to which our our production will be toured. So there are many pages, but I only brought only one pages. I will introduce you two specific cases where the artist was able to continue their artistic activities through the initial commission and co-production in Asia, in ACC. I personally think that what is most valuable is not only creating a co-production project, but providing the artist a leverage that they can use to continue their artistic journey, which become an ecology for contemporary art in Asia. Apichatpong Wirasetakur is a Thai film director we commissioned on his first performing art project. He created an expanded cinema in a performing art context. After the premiere in 2015, it is continuing to tour even still today. What is important is that the success of the first project had led to the start of the opportunity of a second, and even after the project. The upcoming project, Sound of Sleep, has been produced with many co-producer partners right now. The Baling Talk by Mark Tae was a documentary theater based on a 10-year research by Malaysian artist Mark Tae, a member of the Five Art Center, on the history of the communist and nationalist talk that took place in Baling. Through Baling, the Mark Tae was first introduced and recognized in the international art scene and taking the work as a stepping stone. He and our Five Art Center was able to develop the next series of performances named The Future of Malaysia. Recently, and had several world tour. This complete The Future of Malaysia had made several tour. And recently he introduced even new work, and they are on another international tour, including the Kunsten Festival this year. The Ho Chun-in, a Singaporean artist, was a visual artist and a film director who dealt with the complex history of Southeast Asia. 10,000 Tigers was his initial performing art project, taking the metamorphosis of the tiger. He weaves the myths and the histories of the Malaysian world, creating a complex portrait of the Malaysian history. Through the co-production of 4 major international partners, the works was able to be presented all across the world, leading to a long life of the work. He had since 2015 created a number of performing art projects on this basis. God Bless Baseball was created by the Japanese theater director Toshiki Okada. The work took baseball as the McAfee, dealing with the relationship of Japan, Korea, Taipei, and USA as the big brother. Because of this context, we created a co-production structure between the 4 countries, and consequently, the work could meet audiences in this respective context. The climax of the next scene was commissioned by ACC. It was a project of a relatively unknown young artist in an unfamiliar form of art. the work invite the audience to the parallel universe of online games, questioning whether we can escape through the cracks in the system. The unique work of this artist was first introduced through his work, and the next project he present could be developed in an international context. I would like to mention a couple of challenges in creating the Asian connection through the co-production system. If I lead only the problem in Asia, there are too few organizations and festivals that operate on co-production basis. Difficulty in sharing project because of big gaps in forms and directions of program. There is a more emphasis on managerial positions rather than curatorial leading to the lack of network between professional curators. As a conclusion, toward Asian connection, it is urgent to nurture professional curators to share forms, attitude, discourses on contemporary art, more active sharing of artists and projects. Each Asian country needs to establish organization and festival that can act as a platform for contemporary art. These organizations must collaborate in discovering independent Asian artists and participate in her production circulation of new creation. Asia must look to each other, not only producing artworks, but also relevant discourses. Thank you for listening my presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Seonghee, for your presentation and experiences as director of ASEAN Culture Center. So now time is to question and answer from my student or lecturer from UPI. So
can I ask?
I propose?
Since I think most of the audience and me, for us, the English is a second language. So I think since there is a Jeon Jang-wook
we'll translate for you.
Can translate, and then I speak English, can make more feel comfortable. Please.
Okay. Miss Jeong is standby, standby for you. Oke, so teman-teman silahkan untuk bertanya. Ini apa? Saya kira Ibu Seonghee ini banyak pengalamannya ya. Jadi sebagai artistic director di sebuah cultural center di Korea. Dia banyak menghandle festival ya, festival dia sebagai kurator untuk performing art. So ini dia barangkali ini Mbak Selvi sudah raise hand ya, sudah angkat tangan. Silakan Mbak Selvi.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you. Okay, my question is, how to make an artworks, how to make an understandable artworks, because we are, as an artist, bring the issue in every artwork that we try to deliver to the community. But sometimes the community cannot get what the point, what the value for our artworks. Because of course, I think artworks or our performance is not only from artist to artist, but from artist to the public or to the community. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think it's enough for my question. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to say thank you for your PowerPoint for your presentation is really good. Thank you. The last for me.
Thank you so much. We're speaking in Korean and then the
Okay.
translate. 그 굉장히 좋은 질문이라고 생각하고요. 그리고 사실 사실 모든 사람, 그러니까 이쪽에서 일하는 모든 사람, 아티스트, 뭐 기획자, 모든 사람들이 사실은 대면하고 있는 사실은 가장 큰 질문이기도 하죠. 그랬는데 왜 그런지 모르지만 특히 한국 또 아시아에서는 마치 예술이라는 것이 굉장히 대중에게 대중에게 그러니까 예술가와 대중이 있다면 사실 우리 기획자는 그 가운데서 일하는 사람이잖아요. 그랬는데 한편으로는 예술가를 위해서도 100% 일해야 되고 한편으로는 어디언스를 위해서도 100% 일해야지 되는 입장이라고 생각합니다. 그 말은 아티스트가 그 대중에게 어떻게 쉽게 얘기할까를 걱정하게 해서는 안 된다고 생각합니다. 오히려 아티스트는 사실은 그렇다고 막 자기의 내면의 세계 이런 거를 얘기하는 게 아닌 한 어쨌든 책임감을 가지고 어쨌든 사회에 대한 비판적 그러니까 크리티컬한 입장이나 목소리를 내는 한도 내에서 자신의 목소리를 자신 있게 내도록 해야지 하고요. 사실 기획자가 오디언스 사이에 그 사이 안에서 기획자가 그 있는 그대로 사실 그 하나도 빼놓지 않고 어떻게 그 관객들에게 가닿을 수 있을까를 고민해야지 되는 것이 기획자의 역할이라고 생각합니다. 그렇게 돼서 간혹 그것이 잘못돼서 마치 예술가가 굉장히 액세서블하고 쉽게 얘기를 해야지 되는 것으로 알고 또 아티스트들은 그런 부담을 지고 또 그런 책임이 있다고 생각하고 그게 굉장히 데모크라타이즈 됐다고 민주화되는 것이라고 이렇게 그러니까 저 생각에는 잘못 생각이 되는 것 같은데요. 저는 지금 제가 얘기한 그 지점이 굉장히 중요하다고 저 개인적인 입장입니다만 생각하고 사실 그러기에 이 가운데서 매개자의 역할, 기획자의 역할이 굉장히 중요한 것이라고 생각합니다. 그런 책임이 있다고 생각합니다.
Mungkin bisa di-translate, Miss Jiang.
Yeah, Professor Juju, please allow me to translate in English karena bahasa Indonesia saya juga belum lancar sekali. So terima kasih banyak Miss Selby for the very good question. In fact, all the people who work in the art field, who are called art professional, who are actually have struggled with the same questions, not only in Korea but within the Asian countries. Many artists, they think that, or many people think that art, in order for art to be delivered or communicated to the public, we think that sometimes artists have such a huge responsibilities or to help the public to understand the easy way. But according to Professor Kim Seonghee, it is actually the curator's job. Curator who work in between art or artists and the audience or the public. So curator has to, of course, fully support the artist. Curator also has to fully understand the public. So as a middleman or as a mediator, curator should be responsible to deliver the message from the artist to the public. Jadi ini bukan seniman yang, because many people think that having the arts easy to understand for the public becomes more democratic, but she believes that it is not. So artists has to focus on their own work. They have to still speak critically. They have to speak their own voice, but it is the curator's role, it is the curator's job who figure out how they are going to deliver and communicate the message from the art to the audience. Hope it is clear. It is benar ya, Profesor Kim.
Mbak Selvi, mungkin terima kasih Mbak Jiang ya untuk translate-nya. Thank you very much your answer. Mbak Selvi mungkin sudah paham ya Saya sedikit mengulas bahwa memang pekerjaan kurator itu yang membuat bisa sebagai penengah antara artis dan publik gitu ya, dan audiens. Memang di seni pertunjukan kurator kurang begitu berperan kalau di sini ya. Jadi kalau di Indonesia, in Indonesia kurator for performing art is still new field. So it maybe later on Ibu Seong formulate curator competencies will relate to also performing art, not only for new media art, but later on, because in Indonesia, curator for performing art is not, it is unusual. So usually performing art not using curator, but later on, since I think since we have a lot of festival, we also use curatorial for performing arts. So basically, I think in like Indonesia Dance Festival, or also we have festival, Bandung Isola Performing Art Festival. We also use curator for selected artwork. Ya, terima kasih. Masih ada yang lain? Terima kasih, Mbak Selvi ya. Masih ada yang lain pertanyaan?
Saya, Prof.
Ya, boleh. Berita. Mana berita?
Thank you, Prof. Juju.
You can speak English also.
I try. Thank you for sharing your experience. In Indonesia, we have a program for the students in high school to appreciate the contemporary art, music or dance. Yeah, but most of the teacher and also the books or the textbook used by the students is, I think, it's not correct. Yeah, it needs real appreciations that the students should know about what is contemporary art. Usually, maybe some teacher using film from YouTube or video from YouTube, yeah, or another sources, but is very limited occasions, yeah. But I want to know from you, from your experience, is there any festivals that you have been done special for the audience, like students? Yeah, if there are, please give me an example how to introduce step by step, for example. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih, Bu Rita. Mbak Jeong, could you translate to Professor Kim?
이해는 다 했고요. 근데 여쭤보는 말이 컨템포러리 일반에 대한 거를 어떻게 접근해야 되는 건지, 아니면 구체적인 그러니까 서양의 어떤 참조를 질문하시는 건지 제가 헷갈립니다.
제가 이해하기로는 아무래도 그 학교에서 아이들이, 고등학교에서 아이들이 현대 음악이나 댄스 배우는 것이 아주 액규릿하지 않기 때문에 페스티벌을 통해서 배울 수 있을 텐데, 한국에 만약에 페스티벌이 좀 그 학생들, 중학교 고등학생들을 타겟으로 한 페스티벌에서 그들이 이해할 수 있게 하는, 혹시 그들을 조금 더 참여시켜서 이해할 수 있게 하는 스텝 바이 스텝 뭐 이런 거를 좀 소개해 주실 수 있는지.
일단 한국에서는 더 후졌다는 생각이 들고요. 저는 그러니까 제가 개인적으로 굉장히 다양한 클래시컬한 예술부터 또 아시아의 굉장히 트레디셔널한 예술부터 또 뭐 컨템포러리도 있고 되게 많은데 사실 제가 주목하고 있는 거는 컨템포러리 아트나 아방가르드 예술이라고 이제 그렇게 볼 수 있는 거고 이제 거기에 한해서 볼 적에 사실 저는 그 아시아가 되게 뭐랄까요 아직도 되게 폐쇄되어 있다고 그래요. 되게 각 나라들이 다 로컬리즘에 폐쇄되어 있다고 생각해요. 그리고 모든 예술에 있어서도 자꾸 과거나 아니면 내 안쪽으로 수렴이 된다고 생각해요. 근데 저는 뭐 컨템포러리 아트나 아방가르드 아트가 어떤 특별한 스타일이라든지 형식이라든지라고 문이라든지 생각하지 않습니다. 그리고 절대로 그렇게 이해하면 안 되고요. 근데 그동안 아시아에서 이렇게 해외에서 뭐 모더니즘, 뭐 포스트 모더니즘 뭐 이런 것들을 이해할 적에 언제나 그런 외향만 보고 그런 형식 그런 스타일만을 이렇게 카피한다고 해야 하나요? 그리고 그것이 현대 예술이라고 이해하는 바람에 오독이 생기고 바로 그래가지고 그 갭들이 커지고 한다고 생각하거든요. 그랬는데 사실은 제일 중요한 거는 현대 예술보다 더 중요한 거는 안쪽뿐만 아니라 내가 서 있는 곳을 정확하게 이해하지만 더 중요한 거는 바깥 세상에 대한 관심인 것 같아요. 그래서 그 바깥 세상에서 지금 무슨 일이 일어나고 있는지 예술가들은 어떤 목소리를 내는지 어떤 형식으로 얘기하는지를 이해를 먼저 하는 데에서 그리고 거기 안에서 스스로 형식들의 뭐 형식들이라든지 이슈라든지 이러는 것들을 통찰하는 것 그렇게 돼서 지금 현대 예술이 어디에 있는지를 이해하는 데부터 내 목소리를 내는 것 바로 그게 그냥 현대 예술인 거지 유럽 애들이 앞서서 만든 것이 현대 예술이라고 생각하지 않습니다. 그래서 그거를 강조해 주셨으면 좋겠고 학생들이 그런 방식으로 뭐랄까요 그 디렉션을 공부하는 디렉션을 잡아야 된다고 생각하고 선생님들도 그런 방식으로 커리큘럼을 진행하면 좋겠다는 생각입니다.
Professor Seonghee Kim made 2 points. So the first one is, although she's very familiar with classic art, traditional art, contemporary art, avant-garde art throughout Asia, but her focus is contemporary art and avant-garde art. However, when she looked at the art practices throughout Asia, she sees that Asia is still very closed. So they are very much attached to the local issue, very much focused on localism or the past or the tradition. In a way, she believes that, of course, it is important to, as an artist, they have to look inward, look inside. Tapi it happened in Korea that when there was like a trend of the postmodern arts around the world, Korean artists as well as Asian artists, they only focus on the styles or the form or something that they can gain from the outside. And then they think that that's what is postmodern art, that is what is contemporary art. So it was more like a mimicking or copying from the outside view. However, she thinks that this is very problematic. So when we teach the students, what we have to teach the young student adalah, of course, local is important, but at the same time, we have to also teach them how to look outside, global. So the student has to listen to what the artists outside talk about, what kind of form they are utilizing, what kind of issues that they are touching on. So by understanding understanding the global art phenomena, this is very important for the students to understand contemporary art. Tati, there is no style, there is no form that we have to borrow and copy, but understanding our position within the contemporary or within the global, that is what she believes it is contemporary art. And that's how we as an educator has to draw the students to study about art.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bagaimana Ibu Rita? Silahkan untuk bisa.
Okay, my question is about your experience in manage the festivals. I want to know, is there any experience you manage the festival, contemporary art festival, special for students? Yeah, we in Indonesia we try to make what we call wisata edukasi. Yeah, what is it?
Education? Art education 말씀하시는 건가요?
Art education, tourism. Tourism atau apa?
Yeah.
Ya.
Mungkin
by performance. Maybe you can share if you have any experience.
Oke, terima kasih. Mungkin begini, Mbak Jeong, mohon dijelaskan ke Profesor Kim. Her experience to manage a festival for young people, especially for students. But probably she always manage for artists. Artists is maybe general, yeah. It is, but this is specifically for student.
As an audience.
Yeah.
Audience. I think I have an answer.
Yeah.
Speaking in Korean. 아까도 얘기했듯이 제가 20년 전에 처음 그 페스티벌 봄이라고 해서 이런 그 뭐랄까요? 그러니까 좀 바깥 세상을 한국에서도 꼭 봐야 될 것 같아서 만든 페스티벌이 페스티벌 봄이라는 페스티벌인데, 그렇게 하면서 물론 한국의 국내에 있는 오디언스도 그렇고 학생들도 그렇고 예술가들도 마찬가지고 안쪽에 대해서 너무 많이 과잉으로 알고 있으니까 어떻게 해서든지 바깥 세상에서 있는 새로운 에스테틱, 새로운 관점 이러는 것들을 막 소개해야 되겠다고 생각해서 만든 플랫폼이 그 페스티벌이었습니다. 그랬는데 그렇게 들어올 때 제가 가장 걱정했던 게 또 보이는 형식만 보고 또 그 따라하고 또 오해할까 봐, 오히려 어떻게 그러지 않게 하기 위해 가지고 사실은 작품 하나당 그 뒤에 컨텍스트들에 관련돼 가지고 엄청나게 많은 퍼블리케이션도 만들고 아주 짧은 뉴스레터들도 만들고 굉장히 링크, 그러니까 지금으로 말하자면은 이런 유튜브 링크 같은 비디오들도 엄청나게 많이 만들고, 또 작가가 하나 오면은 공연만 하고 보여주고 가는 게 아니라 사실은 일부러 하루 이틀 더 있게 하면서 그 생각이 어디로부터 왔고 그게 무슨 의미인지 이러는 것들을 굉장히 학생들하고 또 심지어 국내의 작가들하고 굉장히 깊게 들어가서 그게 단순한 거죽 형식의 문제가 아니라는 것들을 해결하기 위해 가지고 좀 많이 노력했던 것 같고요. 사실 그렇게 했더니 금세 5년에서 7년 이내에 국내의 작가들, 젊은 사람들한테 현대 예술들이 이제 자라나기 시작해서 한국에는 좀 그래도 좀 큰 현대 예술 씬이 이제 크지는 않지만 그래도 그런 씬이 생겨나게 된 것 같습니다.
Okay, Dr. Rita, let me translate. So with that, the concern in her mind, so about 20 years ago, she established her festival called Boom Festival. And the mission of the Boom Festival is just like what she explained throughout the PPT, that she wanted to give the opportunity to Korean, not only the artists, not only the audience, also the young students, about the new aesthetics, about the new perspective of the global art scene. But of course, she always keep in mind that she does not want that the audience is only focusing on what is happening outside of the art practice. So what she did is to help them understand more di dalam, more detail and in-depth. She produced many like newsletters or YouTube, kind of a YouTube link or some publication which explains about the original context where this artist or artwork came from. Because without understanding those contexts or the idea or inspiration, the audience in Korea can only look at what they see. So that's what she did. And also she helped the artists, the visiting artists, stay longer in Korea. So not only performing during the festival, but she created a platform where the artists and other artists, Korean local artists and students, they can have a dialogue, like an artist talk. So that way the audience can have a much better understanding about the specific art. So after like 5 years or 7 years of doing this BOM festival with a strategy, with a system, she believes that the people have a better understanding about contemporary art, and she believes that the contemporary art has been more blossoming in Korea.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. I think we understand very much. Yeah. Time is up. So thank you very much for your presentation. We are happy to have you to present your knowledge and experiences. So now time to present your certificate. Mario. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Give applause to Professor Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. I hope one time we can collaborate with you in the festival.
Yes, please.
Oke, terima kasih banyak. Mau saya kembalikan ini ke Bapak Yuliawan sebagai MC, tapi sebelumnya ada sedikit trailer lagi mengenai channel YouTube.
Welcome to Prodi Pendidikan Seni SBS UPI's channel. This channel is a platform of digital archiving tridharma of higher education such as teaching and learning, research, community service program, seminar, workshop, performance, and exhibition conducted by professors and students of Art Education Study Program, School of Postgraduate Studies, Universidad Indonesia. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe.
Iya. Baik, terima kasih. Demikian tadi kita sudah mengikuti paparan dari dua narasumber, yaitu bersama Eduardo Villacis dan dari Quito, Equador, dilanjutkan dengan paparan dan diskusi bersama Profesor Seonghee Kim dari Korea Selatan. Tentunya kami haturkan terima kasih sekali lagi kepada narasumber berdua, dan juga kami haturkan terima kasih kepada Prof. Juju yang telah membantu jalannya diskusi pada sesi ke-1 dan ke-2. Dan tentunya kami tetap berharap Ibu Juju ikut merapat di sini untuk nanti khususnya sesi kedua, barangkali ada penanya yang menggunakan bahasa Spanyol atau bahasa Inggris, atau Miss Jeong juga tetap masih tetap kami undang untuk ikut mengikuti sesi yang ketiga. Barangkali nanti ada audiens yang bertanya menggunakan bahasa Korea, begitu ya. Ya baik, kita selanjutnya kita akan simak bersama paparan kertas kerja yang bertajuk kajian seni Nusantara dalam konteks pendidikan yang akan disajikan oleh Profesor Dr. Tati Narawati M.Hum. Sebelum kita simak bersama paparan dari beliau, izinkan saya langsung memandu untuk paparan di sesi terakhir ini, dan saya akan awali dengan penyampaian kurikulum vitae secara singkat dari narasumber yang ketiga ini. Profesor Dr. Tati Narawati M.Hum lahir di Bandung tanggal 5 Desember tahun 1952 dan beliau merupakan salah satu dosen dari Departemen Pendidikan Seni Tari dan juga dosen di Prodi Pendidikan Seni Sekolah Pascasarjana Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Kalau kita melihat riwayat pendidikannya, pendidikan beliau diawali dari D3 dari ASTI Bandung, khususnya jurusan atau bidang studi seni tari tentunya. Kemudian S1 ditempuh dan diselesaikan di STSI Surakarta, masih dari jurusan atau prodi tari. Sementara S2 berhasil diselesaikan dengan cum laude di pengkajian seni pertunjukan Universitas Gadjah Mada, Yogyakarta. Tentunya jurusan atau prodi pengkajian seni pertunjukan. Sementara S3 telah berhasil diselesaikan dengan tentunya lulus cum laude juga di ilmu budaya Universitas Gadjah Mada, Yogyakarta, yaitu bidang studi ilmu budaya. Kalau kita melihat pengalaman lainnya, tentunya ini tidak akan selesai, nanti waktunya tidak akan waktunya akan habis dengan kurikulum vitae beliau, tetapi saya yakin saya pikir para peserta khususnya yang hadir pada kegiatan kuliah umum kali ini sudah tidak asing lagi dengan narasumber yang berikut ini. Oleh karenanya, agar waktu kita berjalan dengan efektif, untuk selanjutnya kami persilakan Profesor Dr. Tati Narawati M.Hum untuk memaparkan kertas kerjanya selama kurang lebih 40 menit. Nanti di sesi kedua kita akan tanya jawab. Kami persilakan Prof. Tati Narawati.
Terima kasih Pak Awang, moderator di sesi ini. Thank you to everyone who has patiently attended this public lecture. The topic of my paper is entitled Study of Archipelago Dance in the Context of Education. Archipelago are a word in Indonesia. Indonesia has 540 ethnic groups, each which has its own characteristics and different values. Thus, the study of Indonesian dance is useful for fostering mutual respect between cultures in Indonesia. Hadirin, English is my second language, so sorry. In this session, I will use Indonesian. Oke, saya mencoba untuk share screen. Sudah ada? Belum?
Ada, tapi belum maksimal.
Belum maksimal.
Oh, belum. Diklik aja yang ininya, materinya. Ini virtual background. Nah, ini di bawahnya. Nah, itu. Klik di bawah. Oke.
Share screen. Aduh. Sorry. My mataku agak apa ya? Atau bolehkah saya minta bantuan Pak Ivan?
Pak Ivan, tolong dibantu. Operator, Pak Ivan.
Sudah ada?
Ada, tapi belum di-fullkan. Iya. Ya. Sudah ada. Ya, silakan jalan.
Ya, baik, terima kasih. Judul saya ini adalah Kajian Tari Nusantara dalam Konteks Pendidikan. Nah, tadi tentunya kita tahu bahwa Indonesia itu memiliki banyak sekali etnis ya. 540 etnis yang sudah terdeteksi di tahun 98. Mungkin sekarang lebih. Kalau dalam bahasa Nusantara itu ada sekitar, penelitian sekarang itu ada 770 bahasa. Nah, dengan demikian tentu saja hal tersebut menjadi sebuah kekayaan bagi Indonesia, tetapi di sisi lain itu ada sebuah tantangan. Bagaimana Indonesia, masyarakat Indonesia bisa saling menghargai di antara etnis-etnis lain. Jangan sampai satu etnis itu merasa menjadi primadona atau menjadi unggulan dari etnis-etnis yang lain. Ini kita akan mencoba berkelana. Kalau tadi kita sudah melihat bagaimana fenomena yang terjadi di Equador, begitu pula yang terjadi di Korea Selatan. Hari ini akan kembali, saat ini kembali kepada tanah air beta. Ya, mungkin akan lebih spesifik kepada etnis-etnis yang ada di Indonesia, tapi juga akan dipilih berdasarkan etnis yang besarnya. Kita akan mencoba melihat apa yang terjadi dalam Nah, itu tadi tari legong yang ada di Bali. Salah satu wajah Indonesia yang paling dikenal di internasional adalah Bali. Ya, Pulau Dewata yang sangat dengan spesifik budayanya. Nah, kita lihat bahwa di dalam karakteristik tari Bali ini memiliki ciri khas ya, dari mulai busananya, gendingnya, juga geraknya sepertinya terpatah antara kepala, badan, dan kaki itu terputus-putus. Kalau kita melihat seperti ini, yang terjadi di Sumatera beda lagi. Apa yang terjadi di Sumatera, kita lihat dalam salah satu tari yang terkenal pula, yaitu tari piring. Tari berpasangan ya antara laki dan perempuan ini ya dari Sumatera, terutama dari etnis Melayu ya, etnis Melayu. Dan kita lihat karakteristik bajunya itu ya memiliki ciri khas yang berkaitan dengan menutup tubuh, karena bagaimanapun juga Sumatera itu, Minang adalah memiliki pengaruh budaya Islam yang sangat kental. Dengan demikian, maka dalam busana pun juga terlihat menutup seluruh tubuh. Lain halnya apabila kita melihat seni yang berada di Irian atau Papua. Sangat sekali. Banyak ini diperagakan atau ditapikan oleh laki-laki dengan properti, ya, propertinya senjata. Senjata bisa panah, bisa juga dengan tombak, dengan busananya yang juga saat ini yang menyesuaikan dengan busana untuk seni pertunjukan yang awalnya itu adalah busananya hanya menutup bagian-bagian tubuh yang vital saja. Ya, ini juga menjadi sebuah pertanyaan bagi kita, terutama yang menekuni tari-tari etnis. Mengapa sih harus memakai senjata begitu, ya? Lalu mengapa tubuhnya itu selalu dipenuhi dengan hiasan-hiasan body painting yang sepertinya itu memiliki arti juga yang khas. Nah, ini hanya apabila kita melihat misalnya ke apakah Jawa Tengah ataupun Jawa Timur, Jawa Tengah ya, Jawa Tengah, apakah di Surakarta ataupun di Jakarta yang memiliki tarian yang khas, yaitu tari Bedoyo. Nah, baru 4 budaya yang terdapat di Pulau Bali, ya, juga di Pulau Sumatera, di Irian, dan di Pulau Jawa. Ya. Jadi dari sini saja kita bisa melihat bagaimana kekayaan Indonesia yang sedemikian dalam. Ya. Tentu saja hal-hal ini, mengapa dia memakai busana seperti itu, mengapa geraknya seperti itu, ya, dan juga iringannya seperti apa. Kita tahu di sini tari Irian itu hanya menggunakan gendang saja, dan yang lain-lainnya menggunakan gamelan. Itu tentu saja ada alasannya. Hal tersebut merupakan suatu masalah, ya. Di sini dari segi koreografinya, dari temponya, mengapa tari Jawa sangat lambat dibandingkan dengan tari-tari yang lain? Apakah itu tari piring dari Sumatera, dari Kalimantan, apalagi dari tari Irian, mengapa sangat lambat?
Wah, yang kelihatan.
Ya. Lalu pertanyaan berikutnya, mengapa sih tubuh penari itu tidak pernah lurus, selalu terpotong antara kepala, ada 3 bagian, kepala, badan, dan kaki. Lalu pertanyaan berikutnya, bisakah menilai tari Bali dengan kaidah estetika tari Jawa atau sebaliknya? Apa yang menjadikan tari Nusantara berbeda? Pertanyaan selanjutnya, bagaimana citra perempuan dalam tari klasik Sunda, Bali, Jawa? Lalu mengapa topeng Jawa, kalau kita melihat ada pertunjukan topeng, mengapa topeng Jawa, Sunda, Bali berbeda? Apa penyebab persamaan dan perbedaannya? Bagaimana kita bisa melacak penyebaran tari topeng di Indonesia? Nah, hal-hal tersebut adalah menjadi permasalahan yang sangat urgent sekali, ya, dalam mengkaji. Karena bagaimanapun juga kita tidak mungkin, tidak boleh menilai dengan kacamata sendiri. Mengapa tari Jawa sangat lambat? Kita tidak bisa mengatakan lambat atau cepat karena berbeda tolak ukurnya. Mengapa tari Bali itu harus terputus? Karena memiliki landasan-landasan estetika yang juga berbeda dengan tari yang lainnya. Tari Irian cepat begitu, ya. Lalu mengapa harus ada properti? Ya, apa hubungannya properti dengan masa lalu Irian? Seperti itu adalah pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang akan diperlukan atau yang menjadi fokus dari sebuah penelitian dalam kajian tari Nusantara. Nah, lalu alasan berikutnya mengapa sih harus kajian tari Nusantara ini menjadi bagian dari kurikulum, apakah di S1 maupun di S2 juga, ya. Alasan pertamanya ini adalah Indonesia sekali lagi memiliki 540 etnis yang tersebar di seluruh Indonesia. Setiap etnis itu memiliki nilai budaya yang berbeda. Setiap etnis memiliki tari dengan karakteristik gerak, iringan, rias, busana yang berbeda pula. Dan setiap tari di etnis tertentu, semua etnis itu mengacu pada nilai-nilai budaya yang diadut masyarakatnya. Contoh, Jawa itu menganut falsafah loro-loroning atunggal. Dua tetapi satu. Jadi berdasarkan sebuah konsep kosmologi. Yang dua yang berbeda tetapi menjadi satu. Di Sunda lain lagi. Konsep kosmologinya adalah senegar tengah, selalu berada di tengah. Dua hal yang berbeda tetapi orang Sunda atau budaya Sunda menempatkannya selalu di tengah. Dan juga memiliki konsep budaya yang lain, yaitu catur silih. Ada silih asuh, silih asah, silih asih. Nah, kemudian di Bali, mengapa sih secara estetika tari Bali itu harus terputus badannya itu? Kepala, badan, kaki terpisah. Karena Bali itu ya memang terpengaruh oleh Hindu yang sangat kental, memiliki konsep budaya yang dikatakan dua hal yang berbeda konsep budaya. Dua bineda. Kalau Jawa itu dua hal berbeda tapi sama, Bali dua hal yang berbeda. Dua hal yang berbeda itu adalah konsep antara bagaimana menempatkan manusia di antara dua kekuatan yang besar. Kekuatan dewa, kekuatan buta. Dan manusia berada di tengah-tengahnya. Dengan demikian maka manusia harus mencari selamat di antara dua kekuatan besar itu. Maka timbullah apa yang dikatakan Trihita Karana. Sumatera itu lain lagi. Dia memiliki budaya yang mengacu pada agama. Pengaruh Islamnya sangat kuat. Oleh karena itulah maka konsep budayanya adalah adat basandi basa, basa basandi kitabullah. Jadi adatnya memiliki acuan kepada bahasa dan bahasanya mengacu pada kitabullah. Nomor 5. Fungsi tari di masing-masing etnis juga sangat beragam. Tadi dilihat tari-tari Bali, legong. Legong itu bisa memiliki fungsi yang bisa berbeda-beda. Apabila dia menarinya di pura, dia maka menjadi fungsinya adalah fungsi upacara, tari wali. Apabila dia ditarikan di tengah halaman, di halaman pura, maka dia menjadi menjadi tari bebali. Tetapi apabila ditarikan di hotel, maka kami juga berubah menjadi tari bebali. Tuh, walaupun dalam satu tari yang sama. Jadi bisa menjadi upacara, menjadi hiburan pribadi, dan juga menjadi penyajian estetis. Nah, sementara kalau kita lihat di dalam tari piring, itu hanya memiliki satu fungsi, yaitu penyajian estetis. Nah, di dalam tari irian, nah itu dulunya memang sebagai tari upacara. Bagaimana tarian itu diciptakan ya untuk melestarikan budaya perang suku. Jadi tari itu dijadikan sebagai sebuah penyemangat untuk perangan yang lain. Gitu. Lalu di terakhir tadi Jawa ya, ada tari bedoyo, dan dia sebagai elite culture, betul-betul ditampilkan hanya di istana saja untuk keperluan upacara istana. Jadi ada sebuah kepercayaan, yaitu tadi kepercayaan yang dua kekuatan itu, kekuatan yang ada di dunia dan kekuatan yang ada di beda makhluk lain gitu ya. Jadi itu bagaimana menyatukan antara sultan sebagai makhluk dunia yang ada di darat dengan ratu Roro Kidul atau penguasa laut. penyatuan dua dunia ini akan membuat kerajaan menjadi besar dan kuat. Jadi masing-masing setiap tari itu memiliki nilai yang mengacu kepada nilai budaya masing-masing etnis. Dengan demikian, ketika kita sebagai seorang pengkaji, tentu saja harus mengembalikan mengkaji itu kepada nilai-nilai etnis yang dimiliki oleh masyarakat pemilik etnis tersebut. Nah, kajian tari Nusantara ini ya adalah hasil sebenarnya produk teori yang dihasilkan dari disertasi saya tahun 2002 sudah lama, dan kemudian dikembangkan dalam mata kuliah etnokorologi di S1 dan juga mata kuliah pengkajian tari Nusantara di S2. Dan di S3 juga ada dalam teori strategi dan teori budaya seperti itu. Nah, di S1 pengkajian itu fokus pengkajian tari etnis Nusantara ini adalah mengkaji bagaimana tari etnis itu dikaji secara tekstual, yaitu dengan mengkaji geraknya, riasnya, busananya, iringan tari, lighting, dan lain-lain sebagainya. Yang artinya bahwa tari tersebut diapresiasi secara visual, tekstual. Kemudian secara kontekstual itu mengkaji tari etnis itu dan relevansinya dalam kehidupan masyarakat. Ya, bisa jadi tari itu sebagai upacara, bisa jadi tari itu sebagai media pendidikan, dikaji ke dalam media pendidikan, ke dalam sebuah sebuah pendidikan, atau juga dilihat dari secara sejarahnya, fungsinya, bagaimana kedudukan di masyarakat seperti itu. Jadi konteksnya itu sangat luas di masyarakat. Nah, di S2, pengkajian tari Nusantara ini dengan analisis secara mendalam dan komprehensif dengan berbagai teori serta aplikasinya dalam pendidikan. Tari etnis Nusantara setelah dikaji secara tekstual dan kontekstual, kemudian diimplementasikan untuk pendidikan, terutama pendidikan karakter, yang berkaitan dengan pendidikan karakter dan relevansinya dengan nilai-nilai budaya yang dianut atau yang diacu oleh masyarakat pendukung tari tersebut. Nah, lalu apa yang akan dipelajari? Sebenarnya, pengkajian tari Nusantara atau dengan lebih spesifik lagi etnokorologi, etnis, dari etno dari etnis, korologi itu adalah tari ya. Ya, dibandingkan dengan seni pertunjukan lainnya, studi atau pengkajian tari ini masih belum mapan dalam metodologi penelitiannya waktu saya disertasi itu seperti itu. Nah, pembahasan kali ini memberikan contoh konkret mengenai metodologi penelitian tari etnokorologi. Ternyata bahwa dari penelitian-penelitian terdahulu itu etnokorologi itu mengalami perjalanan cukup panjang. Sejak istilah korologi yang dicetuskan pertama kali oleh Prof pada tahun 1956, yang kemudian diikuti oleh Seonghee Ali Inohomoku, lalu Adriani Kapler dan Ania Peterson Royce, Claire Holt, dan lain-lain. Jadi ada beberapa peneliti-peneliti yang memang mencoba untuk menemukan metode penelitian tari yang sangat panjang dan akhirnya sampai kepada etnokorologi ini. Nah, di antara disiplin pengkajian seni pertunjukan, disiplin pengkajian tari adalah yang paling ketinggalan dalam pemantapan metodologi penelitiannya. Kalau drama, ini pengkajian drama telah cukup lama memantapkan disiplinnya dengan nama itu dramaturgi. Musik menghasilkan disiplin musikologi, etnomusikologi, antropologi, ataupun juga musik perbandingan. Nah, sementara di dalam tari, istilah pengkajian tari yang kini muncul adalah ada etnologi tari, ada antropologi tari, dan ada terapi dance, ya, atau dance terapi. Kemudian berlanjut pengalaman meneliti ini dilanjutkan oleh Prof. yang menawarkan disiplin pengkajian tari yang diberi istilahnya itu adalah koreologi. Jadi kalau kita melihat koreologi, artinya istilah itu hanya lihat kepada bagaimana gerak, ya, mengkaji, meneliti mengenai gerak saja. Jadi secara komposisi, secara bagaimana tari itu digerakkan, tubuh itu digerakkan. Tetapi ketika sudah sampai kepada etnis yang berbeda seperti tadi yang ada di Indonesia, ternyata gerak-gerak itu tidak bisa diteliti secara teks saja, tetapi harus dikaji juga dengan memadukan antara teks dan konteksnya. Karena bagaimanapun juga, teks gerak itu akan selalu berkaitan dengan nilai-nilai yang diacu oleh masyarakat pendukung tari tersebut. Nah, tadi kita sudah bagaimana sih perkembangan koreologi ini? Jadi ada perkembangan yang memang secara beruntun gitu ya, memiliki langkah-langkah atau memiliki sentuhan-sentuhan yang berbeda satu lain. Tokoh yang pertama kali menggunakan istilah koreologi ini ada Prof. pada tahun 56. Kemudian ia menggunakan lagi istilah koreologi dan secara tegas menyamakannya dengan etnologi tari. Jadi Kurat sendiri ternyata memiliki istilah yang berbeda dan juga fokus yang berbeda. Pada tahun berikutnya, Kurat memaknai koreologi lebih bercakup yaitu pengkajian tari. Dan yang paling dominan dalam penelitian Kurat ini atau pengkajian koreologi Kurat ini adalah bahwa tari itu selalu menjadi sebagai subdisiplin dari antropologi. Jadi tidak berdiri sendiri sebagai sebuah ilmu yang mandiri, tapi sebagai subdisiplin dari antropologi. Juga Kurat pernah memperkenalkan istilah etnokoreografi, ya, sebagai padanan dari istilah etnologi tari. Jadi lagi-lagi ini adalah kaitannya dengan etnologi, ilmu tentang etnis. Kemudian kepeloporan Kurat ini dilanjutkan oleh Zoan ke Inohamoku, Adrian Kepler, dan Anya Patterson-Weiss. Hanya saja karena belum begitu matapnya rambu-rambu ilmiah dalam koreologi, maka belum bisa menjembar dengan bagus, dengan cepat. Nah, ini ada kita sebutkan peneliti Indonesia, peneliti orang asing yang meneliti budaya Indonesia secara cermat, ya. Jadi seluruh budaya Indonesia itu diteliti dan dibukukan dalam Art in Indonesia Continuous and Change. Bahwa ada beberapa tarian Indonesia seperti tari Bali, Sumatera, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, dan Jawa. Nah, ini ada ciri-ciri khas yang disebutkan oleh Holt bahwa ciri-ciri tari etnis yang Bali, Sumatera, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, dan Jawa itu memiliki karakteristik mendekati lantai. Jadi tidak pernah dia bergerak menghindari lantai, tapi mendekati lantai. Jadi diam, ya, bukan diam, tapi tetap berada di lantai. Lalu ada hal yang lain, ada memakai sampur dan geraknya lambat katanya, kecuali tari Bali. Nah, ini dia. Jadi mengapa dia mengatakan geraknya lambat dan kecuali tari Bali? Karena Holt sendiri hanya melihat secara tekstual saja. tidak menggabungkan antara bagaimana gerak itu dengan nilai-nilai yang dianut oleh masyarakatnya. Sehingga dia mengatakan bahwa tari Indonesia itu karakteristiknya adalah lambat. Namun hal penting yang patut dicatat dari tulisan Clearholt adalah pendapatnya yang mengatakan penelitian tari yang bagus adalah penelitian yang menggunakan pendekatan koreologi. Jadi pendekatannya kepada geraknya itu sendiri. Jadi di sini hanya tadi teksnya saja, tidak menggabungkan dengan konteks. Lalu di dalam tari itu sendiri kan sebenarnya kalau kita melihat membandingkan dengan musik itu sudah mapan sekali, memiliki notasi-notasi yang bisa dibaca oleh siapapun, kapanpun ya. Dan ini ditawarkan adalah dengan notasi tari yaitu notasi laban. Laban ini atau laban notation ini mampu untuk mencatat gerak apa saja dan ke arah mana saja sampai gerak bagian dari wajah yang cukup rumit seperti mata, mulut, dan sebagainya. Di Inggris di istilah koreola juga pernah digunakan secara agak luas, tapi dimaknai sebagai sistem notasi tari yang menggunakan garis-garis pendek yang diciptakan oleh suami istri Rudolf dan Joan Bines. Nah, etnokoreologi ini pernah ditawarkan oleh Profesor Dr. R.M. Sudarsono sebagai Bapak Tari Indonesia ini. Yang memperkenalkan tari di Indonesia itu adalah beliau, ya. Beliau yang secara demokrasi mengeluarkan tari dari istana, ya, istana Jawa, istana Yogyakarta, dan kemudian diajarkan di halayak, termasuk juga di perguruan tinggi. Beliau pula yang membuat sekolah-sekolah dari mulai tingkat SMA sampai ke tingkat perguruan tinggi S1, S2, S3. Beliaulah pencetusnya. Ya, jadi kalau dikatakan sangat tepat apabila Profesor Dr. Sudarsono dikatakan sebagai Bapak Tari Indonesia. Nah, ini Pak Sudarsono ini selalu menyarankan kepada semua mahasiswa atau kepada semua peneliti tari apabila ingin meneliti tari dengan secara komprehensif, mereka dengan menggunakan etnokoreologi, yaitu mengaitkan antara teks dan konteks tari. Tentu saja untuk melihat teks dan konteks tari itu dengan menggunakan pendekatan yang multidisiplin. Nah, pengkajian tari Nusantara ini lebih pas mungkin ya dengan menggunakan paradigma kualitatif karena ingin melihat lebih dalam, lebih luas ya, terutama kepada nilai-nilai yang dianut oleh masyarakatnya. Langkah pendekatan etnokoreologi yang disarankan dalam konteks pengkajian tari Nusantara itu, yang pertama adalah bagaimana mengidentifikasi gerak tari. Setiap tari itu memiliki memiliki struktur dari mulai pembukaan, tengah maupun gerak akhir. Itu diidentifikasi, kemudian dikategorisasikan geraknya, apakah sebagai pure movement atau gerak locomotion begitu ya, ataupun juga sebagai gerak yang bermakna. Lalu setelah itu juga perlu dideskripsikan ya. Mengapa perlu dideskripsikan? Karena mungkin saja gerak itu sama ukal, tetapi ukal yang ada di Jawa, ukal yang ada di Bali mungkin memiliki makna yang berbeda. Lalu menganalisis gerak yang berdasarkan elemen-elemen pembangun gerak dan aspek komposisinya ya. Kemudian mensintesakan keterkaitan antara teks tari dengan konteksnya. Inilah yang mungkin yang membedakan atau memiliki kelebihan dalam etnokoreologi itu bagaimana mensintesakan keterkaitan antara teks tari dengan konteksnya, sehingga nanti akan akan menghasilkan karakteristik gaya, simbol, makna, dan mungkin juga nilai-nilai dalam tari tersebut. Nah, kalaulah langkah pendekatan etnokorologi dalam konteks pendidikan ini biasanya kami menggunakannya di pasca ya, di S2 ya. Di sini menggunakan mixed method, jadi menggunakan paradigma kualitatif dan kuantitatif. Yang pertama, yaitu satu, pengkajian tari etnis menggunakan paradigma kualitatif untuk menemukan nilai-nilai pendidikan dalam tari apabila memang ini untuk pendidikan nilai karakter. Selanjutnya, diimplementasikan dalam pendidikan yang formal, non-formal, maupun informal. Nah, untuk menanamkan karakter seperti itu. Ada beberapa, saya berikan contoh judul tesis dengan pendekatan etnokorologi, misalnya di sini ada Real Bulkyo Dance, Learning to Increase Student Patriotism Values oleh Ayu Rido Saraswati dalam jurnal panggung. Kemudian penanaman nilai-nilai Kasundaan berbasis pembelajaran tari Paku Jajar di SMPN 5 Sukabumi oleh Ayu Finlandari yang bisa dilacak di dalam jurnal panggung juga. Kemudian tari Rampo sebagai cerminan karakteristik masyarakat Aceh buat oleh Rika Stella dalam jurnal panggung juga. Dan ini juga ada bentuk, fungsi simu dan makna tari Gatot Kaca, gaya Sumedang dan gaya Garut. Jadi ini perbandingan ya, perbandingan antara bentuk, fungsi simu dan makna tari Gatot Kaca dalam gaya Sumedang dan perbandingan ini. Lalu yang terakhir yang masih saya ingat, banyak sekali tetapi ini saya masih ingat, penerapan pembelajaran tari rampak terbang melalui model project based learning meningkatkan kreativitas siswa kelas 11 di SMA Negeri 2 Kota Serang. Ya, demikian Bapak Ibu semua paparan singkat saya. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Ibu Prof. Tati Narawati yang telah memaparkan kertas kerjanya bertajuk Kajian Seni Nusantara dalam konteks pendidikan. Sudah kita simak bersama, banyak yang bisa kita coba ambil uraian yang telah tadi disampaikan oleh beliau. Kita sampai ke sesi berikutnya, yaitu sesi tanya jawab. Masih ada waktu kurang lebih 20 menit kurang ya, jadi 15 menit sih pasnya nanti karena kita akan sampai di penghujung acara. Dan kalau saya lihat di kolom chatnya ini tidak ada yang atau belum ada yang mengajukan pertanyaan, tetapi ini ada yang raise hand, ada Mbak Enia sama Teh Novianti Maulani. Kami persilakan Mbak Enia dulu ya, setelah itu nanti Teh Novianti untuk menyampaikan pertanyaan atau barangkali masukan atau saran. Kami persilakan Mbak Enia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon, and thanks to Pak Yuliawan for the time.
Okay.
I want to ask with Prof. Tati Narawati, but I want to ask with Indonesian language.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Begini, Prof, terima kasih waktunya dan saya ucapkan sangat bagus sekali paparannya Ibu. Tapi saya masih penasaran, di Cilegon ada tari Bandrong in Cilegon ya. Itu kan ada unsur gerakan pencaksilat. Sempat saya menghadiri talk show, saya mau menanyakan gitu sama yang menampilkan gerakan-gerakan pencaksilat itu, tarian-tariannya. Saya tanya, sebenarnya unsur gerakan pencaksilat itu siapa yang menciptakan tokohnya? Kemudian dia bertutur bahwa yang namanya gerakan pencaksilat itu asalnya katanya dari Sumatera, tapi sang narasumber itu belum bisa menyampaikan siapa katanya penemunya itu. Katanya soalnya ini sangat riskan, katanya soalnya dari sudah lama katanya. Jadi tidak bisa untuk menyebutkan tokoh penemu gerakan pencaksilat itu. Terima kasih, itu aja Ibu. Thank you.
Iya, terima kasih Mbak Ania. Baik, kami persilakan Bu Prof. Tati Narawati untuk menanggapinya.
Oh, langsung. Enggak.
Ya, langsung saja, Bro. Ya.
Ya, enggak. Terima kasih ya Bu Ania ya atas pertanyaannya. Ya, untuk meneliti sebuah tari ya, tari etnis itu tentu saja ada beberapa hal yang harus kita lakukan ya. Tidak bisa hanya berdasarkan wawancara saja, bertanya kepada narasumber itu siapa sih pemiliknya atau bagaimana yang menemukan atau pencipta pencaksilat itu. Tidak hanya tidak hanya bisa berdasarkan wawancara, karena bagaimanapun juga pencaksilat itu tersebar ya di seluruh Indonesia. Seluruh Indonesia itu punya ragam pencaksilat yang mungkin ada persamaannya tapi juga ada perbedaannya, dan hal tersebutlah yang akan dijadikan sebuah pengkajian di dalam etnokorologi ini. Nah, untuk memahami bagaimana atau siapa yang menjadi pencetus atau pemilik atau pencaksilat itu, ya sekali lagi kita dalam kualitatif itu ada tiga hal komponen yang harus diperhatikan. Ada wawancara, ada buku bukan hasil penelitian terdahulu, dan juga ada observasi gitu ya. Nah, langkah-langkah tersebut tentu saja ya adalah menjadi sebuah tools, alat pengetahuan praktik bagi seorang peneliti. Ya, Anda berada di Cirebon. Ya, ketika melihat sebuah tari pencaksilat yang ada di Cirebon,
Cilegon.
Oh, Cilegon,
Banten.
Ya, Cilegon, Banten. Itu tentu saja pencaksilat Cilegon dengan pencaksilat Sumatera itu memiliki acuan nilai yang berbeda. Walaupun sama adalah bela diri, tetapi mengacunya kemana? Itu yang mungkin yang harus dilacak terlebih dahulu. Ya, kalau tadi kan Sumatera itu adalah apa tadi? Bahasa di Kitabula. Jadi selalu mengacu kepada Kitabula. Cilegon ya, Cilegon juga itu kental Islamnya, agamanya juga kental. Tetapi mungkin ada hal-hal lain karena kita lihat bahwa di Cilegon juga ada yang namanya debus. Debus itu juga orang ada banyak berbeda, pendapat yang berbeda. Ada yang mengatakan itu berasal dari Islam, ada juga yang mengatakan hal itu berbeda, bukan Islam. Nah, hal itu yang harus ditelusuri lebih dahulu. Jadi yang pertama tadi adalah mendeskripsikan, ya, deskripsikan bagaimana gerak di dalam Bandung in Cilegon itu dideskripsikan, lalu dikategorisasikan. Setelah itu sampai disintesakan antara gerak, teks gerak, dan kemudian nilai-nilai yang dianut oleh masyarakat Cilegon. Ya. Sumatera Islam kuat, tetapi Cilegon juga Islam. Tapi ada hal yang berbeda Islamnya itu. Di Cilegon itu Islamnya kalau di Sumatera itu Islamnya betul-betul bersandi Kitabullah. Jadi betul-betul mengacu pada kitab. Tetapi di Cilegon itu berbeda. Nah, itulah yang harus dikaji dulu, diketemukan dulu nilai-nilai apa, nilai-nilai budaya apa yang dianut oleh masyarakat Cilegon. Walaupun sama-sama Islam, tapi tentu saja ada hal-hal lain. Dan untuk mencari hal-hal lain itu, Anda bisa menyimaknya lewat peribahasa, ya, lewat petatah petitih. Nah, itu akan terdapat. Bagaimanapun juga, ketika menganalisis sebuah tari itu, jangan lupa bahwa tari adalah bagian dari sebuah budaya yang merupakan simbol-simbol makna yang saling terkait. Jadi makna tari bisa saja terhubung dengan makna di dalam bahasa, mungkin juga di dalam musik, mungkin juga di dalam agama. Nah, itu juga yang harus agama yang dianut ya, kepercayaan dianut oleh masyarakat Cilegon. Begitu barangkali ya Bu Ania yang bisa.
Thank you.
Iya. Terima kasih ya Mbak Ania ya. Mudah-mudahan pertanyaannya atau jawaban dari penjelasan dari Prof. Tati Narawati bisa apa yang diharapkan tadi ya. Oke, terima kasih. Baik, selanjutnya Oh, di chat juga ada. Nanti setelah yang berikutnya ini Novianti Maulani, nanti kita beralih ke yang bertanya melalui kolom chat. Kami persilakan Teh Novianti Maulani. Silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Luar biasa sekali pemaparan presentasi seminar untuk hari ini atau mata kuliah umum hari ini. Mohon maaf, di sini sedang adzan, Ibu. Nggak apa-apa ya, nggak? Tidak.
Dilanjut aja, nggak apa-apa.
Ya. Mudah-mudahan pertanyaan dari saya ini bisa direspon atau ditanggapi oleh Prof. Nara, juga Prof. Kim dari Korea. Betul sekali ya, ini intermezzo sedikit ketika tadi Prof. Nara berbicara Bali itu adalah wajahnya Indonesia ketika saya membawa misi kebudayaan di Korea Selatan. Betul sekali, yang ditanya itu Anda dari Bali ya, ya begitu. Jadi ya tadi saya betul-betul tergelitik ya, karena saya bukan guru, tapi konsen di pemberdayaan masyarakat, tapi betul-betul peduli atau suka sekali dengan pendidikan, dunia pendidikan seperti itu. Nah, terkait festival. Nah, festival yang saya selenggarakan, kebetulan saya penyelenggara festival tari jaipongan kreasi Galuh Pakuan Cup tingkat nasional, yang menggabungkan tarian dari etnis Sunda dengan dikolaborasikan dengan mencoba dikolaborasikan dengan etnis Bali, dengan etnis Jawa Tengah, etnis Sumatera, Kalimantan, dan alhamdulillah direspon dengan baik seperti itu. Terbukti dengan karena kita menyelenggarakannya secara virtual dan live streaming seperti itu, mampu mewadahi 3.000 peserta, 3.000 penari di seluruh Indonesia seperti itu, dan alhamdulillah penonton di YouTube tersebut 6.000 sampai 12.000 perharinya, dan ditonton oleh 114 negara di dunia. Nah, tadi saya menanggapi juga dari Prof. Kim yang mempunyai misi tari Asia itu harus mendunia, dan itu yang menjadi cita-cita besar saya juga, itulah yang dilakukan oleh saya seperti itu. Nah, dari pemaparan tersebut dan apa yang saya rasakan, betul-betul tergelitik seperti itu ya, bagaimana ini cita-cita saya untuk bukan menduniakan jaipong, tapi lebih ke memperkenalkan etnis Sunda yang bisa dikolaborasikan atau bisa dikoneksikan dengan tarian-tarian di dunia seperti itu. Nah, apakah cita-cita saya itu dapat terwujud, begitu kan? Maksudnya, apakah jaipongan bisa direspon dengan dikolaborasikan dengan tarian luar, gitu kan? Dan diwadahi, dikolaborasi dengan negara-negara lain seperti itu. Seperti itu sih Bu, lebih kurangnya mohon maaf. Dan terima kasih juga. Karena festival ini kan bukan hanya tontonan, tapi juga tuntunan, karena di dalamnya bukan hanya menampilkan tari-tarian atau sebuah kompetisi, tapi juga ada ajang edukasi. Apa itu seni tari? Kalau misalnya kita kuliah kan mahal ya Pak, gitu. Yeah. Tapi masyarakat luas itu bisa belajar gitu kan mengenai seni, pendidikan seni dan lain sebagainya seperti itu. Dan kebetulan salah satu juri dan pemberi materinya itu adalah Profesor Dr. Hajah Tati Narawati seperti itu. Itu keinginan saya, pengen triknya bagaimana, terus apakah jaipong itu bisa dikolaborasikan dengan tarian negara luar gitu kan, dan bagaimana trik mengkoneksikan tradisi kita gitu kan dengan negara-negara lain gitu. Terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih Teh Novianti. Ya, saya pikir Prof. Tati Narawati sudah bisa mencermati dan mengambil kata kuncinya dari apa yang ditanyakan oleh Teh Novianti. Silakan Prof. Tati Narawati untuk menanggapinya.
Terima kasih Pak Yuliawan. Iya, Teh Novi ya, aduh terima kasih sekali atas responnya ya. Anda di sini adalah seorang penyelenggara sebuah festival yang besar sekali ya, yang besar yang dilakukan secara virtual. Nah ini sudah langkah yang bagus bagaimana tari itu menjadi sebuah pendidikan bukan hanya di kelas tetapi juga di masyarakat melalui YouTube maupun juga melalui pasang-giri atau festival yang diselenggarakan secara virtual. Baik, Bu Novi, Jaipongan itu sudah berkembang ya, sudah berkembang sejak tahun 1970, itu sudah berkembang sangat cepat, sangat luas, sangat dalam. Karena apa? Karena Jaipongan itu memiliki boleh dikatakan sebagai tari yang memiliki kesempatan atau bukan kesempatan ya kemampuan untuk dieksplor dengan lebih mendalam gitu ya, karena tidak terikat oleh sebuah struktur yang mapan yang harus dilakukan oleh koreografer. Betul-betul sebuah tari modern. Kalau saya katakan itu adalah sebuah tari modern yang memiliki kesempatan untuk berkolaborasi dengan gerak-gerak tari manapun. Karena konsepnya Jaipongan itulah konsep tari modern. Ya, tidak memiliki sebuah aturan yang ketat. Kita bandingkan bagaimana perjalanan Jaipong dari awal. Ya, awal itu memang aturannya adalah yang memiliki aturannya, dari mulai aturan musik sampai aturan berbusana itu betul-betul ketat. Tetapi perkembangan selanjutnya oleh murid-murid gugum itu menjadi lebih luas, beraneka, menampilkan berbagai karakteristik yang khas, yang menjadi ciri dari koreografernya itu sendiri. Kita bisa melihat bagaimana awan akan berbeda dengan buyung, misalnya. Ya, nah itu adalah ciri-ciri mandiri dari seorang koreografer. Dengan demikian, ya, itu memiliki kesempatan yang luas juga untuk berkolaborasi dengan tari-tari mancanegara. Silakan Ibu Novi. Ibu Novi sekarang sudah melakukan hal yang inovasi. Melakukan pasanggiri atau festival secara virtual dan diikuti oleh sekian ribu orang ya dengan gerak-gerak yang mandiri pula. Nah, para juri itu saja hanya memberikan tuntunan bagaimana sih koreografi yang baik, apa yang harus dilakukan dengan itu ya. Jadi ada kebebasan dari setiap personal untuk melakukan koreografinya sendiri. Bu Novi sudah dengan baik seperti itu. Silakan lanjutkan ya. Mungkin sekarang sudah mencapai berapa? 114 negara, ditonton oleh 114 negara. Ya siapa tahu kesempatan hari ini bertemu dengan para ahli dari Korea, para ahli dari Equador itu bisa menjalin kerjasama yang lebih luas. Ya, mangga Bu Novi.
Ya, terima kasih Bu Prof. Tati Narawati. Teh Novi, Ibu Novi puas ya, tapi nanti kalau tidak puas tidak apa-apa, bisa dilanjut di luar forum ya.
Iya, paling itu aja ya, untuk membangun koneksi dengan negara-negara lainnya seperti itu.
Ya, nanti kita bisa cari waktu yang luang untuk kita coba terapkan bagaimana sih mengembangkan atau menciptakan jejaring dengan koneksi yang lebih luas begitu ya. Terima kasih atas pertanyaan dan jawaban dari Bu Prof. Tati Narawati. Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, sebetulnya masih ada satu pertanyaan yang disampaikan di kolom chat, tetapi kalau saya bacakan saja ya Prof. Tati ya, tetapi saya pikir tidak perlu dijawab langsung karena memang kita sudah sampai di penghujung waktunya ini. Ini dari Teh siapa ini ya? Saya baca dulu ke atasnya. Oh, dari Teh Sofa. Dari Teh Sofa panjang lebar sebetulnya di atasnya sebelumnya, tetapi pertanyaannya bagaimana kontribusi seni Nusantara dalam membangun pendidikan multikultur pada era digital sebagai upaya mencegah radikalisme. Waduh, saya pikir ini sangat luas ya kalau mau dibahas, tapi terima kasih ya Teh Sofa sudah menyampaikan pertanyaannya. Insya Allah ini PR ya untuk yang nanti juga akan saya catat dan saya akan sampaikan ke narasumber Bu Prof. Tati Narawati dan nanti kita akan adakan kesempatan lain manakala waktunya lebih leluasa untuk membahas. Karena kalau ini ada 3 kata kunci di pertanyaannya itu ya. Ya baik. Itu Bapak Ibu yang kami
Sedikit
hormati.
saja Pak
Ya,
Awang,
silakan.
silakan. Ya, dalam tari itu adalah bukan hanya belajar tari, tapi juga belajar bagaimana kita melatih emosi kita, melatih sensitivitas kita akan nilai-nilai dan estetika. Jadi dalam tari itu ada estetika dan etika yang harus dikuasai oleh mahasiswa atau siswa. Nah, apabila estetika dan etika kita sudah sudah dipegang oleh siswa, oleh mahasiswa, oleh kita semua, maka kita akan bisa saling menghargai satu sama lain. Ya, yang namanya radikalisme itu kan salah satunya adalah merasa paling unggul.
Iya.
Nah, unggul budaya. Dengan demikian, adanya rasa saling menghargai ini akan menjadikan terjalinnya multikulturalisme atau bineka tunggal ika, bahwa apapun ini adalah negara kita yang beragam tapi tetap satu. Itu saja Pak.
Terima kasih Prof. Tati Narawati. Mudah-mudahan Tia Sofa masih ada ya, masih bergabung sehingga nanti jawaban yang sangat singkat itu juga menjadi motivasi untuk nanti kita berkomunikasi lebih lanjut ya. Baik, Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, para narasumber, tentunya kami haturkan terima kasih kepada Prof. Tati Narawati yang telah memaparkan kertas kerjanya. Selanjutnya kita beri aplaus dulu untuk penampilan paparan dari Prof. Tati Narawati dan Prof. Juju akan menyampaikan sertifikat barangkali kepada Prof. Tati Narawati. Kami persilakan.
Silakan Mario ditampilkan sertifikat. Terima kasih Prof. Nara atas ilmunya. Turun.
Sami.
Iya. Sekali lagi kita beri aplaus yang meriah untuk pemaparan di sesi terakhir untuk kegiatan perkuliahan umum kita pada siang hari ini. Baik, itu tadi Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, para narasumber dan seluruh peserta. Kita telah bersama-sama mengikuti rangkaian acara kegiatan kita dari pagi hari tadi, dari jam 9 hingga saat ini. Tidak terasa kita sampai di penghujung. Sebelum kita akhiri, ini ada permintaan dari operator untuk pendokumentasian. Kita akan masuk sesi foto dulu. Mohon bisa ditampilkan wajah terbaik dan tentunya disertai senyumnya begitu ya, agar kegiatan kuliah umum pada tahun 2022 ini itu ada dokumentasinya. Kami persilakan, ada 3 slide, kita tahan dulu senyum terbaiknya. Yuk, base smile-nya di mana?
Baik, 1, 2, 3.
Oke, yang kedua.
Slide kedua ya. 1, 2, 3.
Iya, slide yang terakhir. Silakan, lebih heboh.
1, 2, 3.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Ivan. Baik, Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, dengan berakhirnya sesi foto ini, maka selesailah sudah seluruh rangkaian acara kita, kegiatan kuliah umum Pendidikan Seni Sekolah Pasca Sarjana Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia yang diselenggarakan Kamis 2 Juni 2022. Tentunya saya sebagai pembawa acara dan juga salah satu panitia penyelenggara dan juga Ibu Juju, Prof. Juju Masunah yang telah juga menyelenggarakan kegiatan kita pada kali ini. Memohon maaf barangkali ada hal yang kurang berkenan, tentunya kelebihan kami serahkan kepada milik Allah semata, sementara kekurangan adalah milik kita sebagai manusia yang serba kekurangan itu sendiri. Barangkali sebagai penutup, Ibu Juju ada yang mau disampaikan? Kami persilakan.
Ya, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pertama-tama saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada narasumber yang sudah mempresentasikan dan men-sharingkan keilmuannya. Juga Mbak Jeong dan Mas Santiago yang membantu kami. Terima kasih kepada mahasiswa semua, para dosen, dan teman-teman semua yang sudah hadir pada hari ini. Mudah-mudahan kita bertemu lagi di sesi berikutnya. Insya Allah Oktober 2002 kita akan melaksanakan lagi kuliah umum. Sampai ketemu nanti di sesi berikutnya. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Jangan lupa like, share, and subscribe ya.
Okay, we meet again on another occasion. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Atur nuhun sayang.
Sami-sami.
Sami-sami, Prof.
Atur nuhun Ibu Bapak.
Sami-sami.
Welcome to Prodi Pendidikan Seni SPS UPIS channel. This channel is a platform of digital archiving Tridharma of higher education such as teaching,
Enggak, nih Pak Barli atur nuhun.
Nuhun sami-sami, Prof.
Nuhun Pak Barli.
Nuhun sami-sami, atur nuhun. Aya kelas deui ieu, Prof.
Ya, mangga.
Abisnya pada UAS. Izin lift, Prof.
Nah, Pak Daniel diangkos ya. Ya, di Bandung.
Nyindir ya.
Segera
ya,
Pak Bandung.
Jalan lanjut. Sekarang Pak Dr. Yuliawan.
Siap.
Pak Suryadi.
Hai, Pak Suryadi. Aya di profil.
Prof, assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Bu Ania.
Thank you for watching.
Nuhun ya.
Don't forget like, share, and subscribe.
Yuk, pamit sadayana.
Pamit.